Oh, snap. I'm back. Happy 2026, folks. It's going to be a good one. I see that some people are already tuning in, and thank you. Thank you. I'm so excited. Happy New Year to you all. And we've got a really great episode today. We're just going to kind of be chilling, smoking. We do have something that we can chat about that I think you will all find interested. But I just want to start off by saying that I hope you're all doing well. Like, once again, it is 2026, and I'm excited to be joined by a very special guest in this episode of
The Cole Memo.
The Cole Memorandum.
The Cole Memo.
The Cole Memo.
The Cole Memorandum.
I mean, you have to respect the memo.
Hell yeah. And because we are live on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter, feel free to drop your questions or thoughts in the comments. Again, I see we've got a lot. We've got like 5 rolling in right now, so we'll throw them on screen here in a second. But I just want to say that if you're catching this later and you're wondering how to catch the show live, I'd say the best way is to go to colememo.com/YouTube and subscribe to my YouTube channel. That way you never miss a stream. But the podcast is also available for streaming on SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and other podcasting platforms, or at colememo.com. You can support me at colememo.com/support, or just by smashing that like button, dropping a comment, and sharing with your friends. Cheap, easy, free way to support the show. So if you can do that, I would appreciate it. Folks, today I'm going to be joined by my friend Aaron, who you may know from the Elevated News podcast with Two Dope Dudes. Aaron, welcome back to the show. How's it going?
Yo, what's going on, man? How are you?
I am well. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too. Happy New Year to everybody out there. Hope everybody's having a great New Year.
Yes. And just in case people aren't familiar with yourself and your podcast, can you give an introduction?
I am one of the Two Dope Dudes, and we do the myself and my co-host Dave. We do the Elevated News podcast, officially titled with Two Dope Dudes, and it's just me and my buddy Dave, who has a lot of experience in the regulated industry, and I'm a caregiver who believes that you can grow your own and help your person at the same time. And I'm an advocate for that. And we have kind of a unique perspective on what's going on in the Midwest and the industry in general, as far as cannabis.
And I'll just plug for people, if you want to check out their work, we'll have this link in the show notes, but supportdopepeople.com, I think, is probably the easiest way to get connected.
Yeah, absolutely. Supportdopepeople.com. That's got links to my show, or our show, mine and Dave's show, and Dave's Thursday night live stream. And it's all about Dave's message, because I think it's important. Take your health back into your own hands, and I think that growing your own is a great thing. I think everybody should learn how to grow their own. They can really understand what the plant's all about, and why it's not that big of a deal.
Well said. And I'll just answer one of our listeners' questions. They ask, how often does it come out? It's a weekly show, right? So
yep, every Wednesday at 12:15 Central Standard Time.
And maybe this is a good opportunity to say that we will be doing a show together.
That's right.
And people can tune into that.
Nice.
At colememo.com/2dope. You can see the last episode we did together there as well. It's going to be great. It's on January 5th at 4:30 p.m.
Yeah, 4:30.
Man, I'm proud of myself. I remembered.
Yeah.
So, I know I've got the stream up, but yeah.
Gives us 10 minutes to, celebrate 420. And then, 4:30, let's go.
Yeah. And that's important.
Me, you, and Dave would be the Three Dope Dudes. Be our 2025 wrap-up show.
Hell yeah. Yeah. So tune into that, folks. We'll be wrapping up 2000. We'll be looking back, I guess, on 2025 and recapping the stories that caught our attention and why. And so I think it'll be fun. So Some cat on the internet says they finally got a free moment to watch the mini documentary, and they
Yes.
say it was excellent. Thank you, cat. And if folks want to see it, they can just go to colememo.com/mini-doc. It's free to watch. And just want to say thank you to everybody that's tuning in and saying Happy New Year. We really appreciate you all for tuning in. And as I was talking to you, Aaron, earlier today, I was like, bro, I think I maybe texted you yesterday. I was like, hey, do you want to smoke tomorrow afternoon? And you're like, yeah. And I was like, yeah, let's just hop on the phone and smoke. And then I was like, why don't we just do a fucking podcast? And
Yeah.
you were like, I'm game. And I was like, let's go.
Yeah. I'm usually game to podcast. I just I get so busy. It's been a holiday of reflection for me, and I've mostly focused on just kind of chilling with the family, getting stuff done around the house, and just really enjoying the company and shutting everything off for a little bit, not being stressed out, not being, thinking about whatever my neck's hurting or, how I wish I could go outside, So, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But it's great to get back into it. And there's a lot of stuff happening. There's a lot of stuff happening. Like, I think the point is that, it's okay to shut it off sometimes, but when it's time to get back to it, it's time to get back to it. Right.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Got some fun stuff to talk about, I think.
Yeah, no, but you're right. And if our listeners are listening, like I think we have a different maybe perspective sometimes because we do the show, so we feel like we have to be plugged in all the time. But I would even say like not even in the context of cannabis. Sometimes I just feel like I have to be plugged in all the time. And as you say, like you have to remind yourself, like, no, you don't. You can unplug, and it's actually really good for your mental health to do that.
It's fantastic for your mental health. I think I try and advocate to stay off a lot of social media because I think it's just a bad cycle. You know what I mean? It's just why do it to yourself? Like, are you that bored? Are you that afraid of yourself to get off social media and figure out your life?
Right. Exactly, man. It can be hard, but real quick, somebody is saying they're asked a lot of questions, but I'll try to answer a few of them here. They say, is the mini documentary good if I just listen to the audio? That's actually an interesting question. I did that myself while I was editing it, just listen to the audio to see if the audio was good. I mean, I guess you could do that. It doesn't require a video, but yeah, you can do that. And the show, yes, the Two Dope Dudes, the Elevated News podcast premieres live every Wednesday at 12:15 p.m.
You'll see, I'm a loyal Cole Memo audio listener.
Hell yeah!
I listen to the audio. I'm an audio listener. It's not very, but it's definitely that.
It's your Blur effect. Yeah, I love it though.
But yeah. But I'm a loyal audio listener. I think the audio episodes are great.
Yeah, they're asking me, what about Rumble? I have a plan that only allows me to stream to 3 platforms at a time, and I am not at a point where I can I guess stream to another platform. So we're on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. But anyways, I think thank you, Aaron.
That's a more inside baseball thing. That's a Cole does all his stuff very seamlessly live. I go back and I actually edit the Elevated News podcast, and it's just a matter of editing or not. And Cole doesn't really edit, or in the way that he edits is very unique and ingenious and works for his way. And props to you for that.
Yeah,
a little inside baseball, but
No, yeah. I mean, in case people didn't know, the show is generally completely live. Like we're fucking live right now. Anything can happen. But there are occasions where like I will prepare a pre-recorded segment. There are occasions where I'll do premieres, but when we're live, we're live. Yeah. But like you said, one thing I have done, and we'll have a segment today, is I try to break the show into segments, and then that way I can just release the segments. And like you say, it's my lazy way of editing, really, is what it is, because I see the way that other people put together clips, and I'm like, bro, I don't have the time or the energy to do all that. So I thought about that. I was like, well, let's split it up into segments, and then you can just release the segments as standalone videos. And so, yeah, a little bit of back
and
behind the
it's been
scenes.
working great for you too, and bravo. Like
Thank you.
it's it points to the fact that you're an actual writer.
Yeah, well, I try to
You-
at least script it out. Yeah, a little
Yeah,
bit,
you're.
you know.
I don't mean like, but you have a writing element to you, and if you're a Patreon subscriber, you can definitely see all of the writing over there. But like, I appreciate how you do that. It shows an attention to detail, I think.
I appreciate the compliment, because really what it is I get on here and I spark up and I get spacey, and then I'm
Uh-huh.
like, you get nervous because you're live, and so I need something to like keep my mind, the train on the tracks, if you will. You know?
I've often said to people that Dave makes it very easy to do what we do over at the Elevated News Podcast. I merely have to provide him with some topics, and he usually has a really unique insight into what it is we're talking about, and I just kind of let him go. And that's the secret. I just got to get Dave to show up, man.
Oh yeah. Hell yeah. Well, I'm really looking forward to reconnecting with both you and Dave. And I
Yeah.
just want to say once again, for the folks that are tuning in, we're doing that next week, January 5th, Monday. Just tune in at colememo.com/2dope. And that's number 2 DOPE. And you'll have a link that will take you right to the live
Heck yeah.
stream. And we're going to have a great time. I already know, because it always
yeah.
is. So
I'm gonna have to put a link up at supportdopepeople.com.
hell
It's a great
yeah.
idea. I love
yeah.
that.
Yeah. So for folks that are tuning in a little bit, we'll be talking about the new Illinois annual cannabis report. But maybe we just start off this new segment with this is just a random idea I just had. Like, what if we start off with just like come up with 1 to 2 things that we'd like to see happen this year in cannabis policy? We could even be a little bit optimistic here, because obviously, you know,
Sure.
both of us probably are going to shoot for the sun, and you know, we'll take what we can get. But anyways, you get my point. So
Yeah, we won't take the easy way out with just expand access to cannabis, because that's the one thing that I always remind people. No matter who you're talking to, I think for the most part, everybody agrees that expanding access to cannabis is a good thing.
right. And
Like,
I guess
for
like
the people who understand that, like, it is medicine.
yeah, absolutely. And that's my thing. I'm like wondering if somebody were to ask me one thing that I think would, I guess, do the most to expand access, or just do the most to what I consider to be achieve meaningful, you know, reform on cannabis. I'm racking my brain right now. I don't know where I would begin. You know, like I feel like home grow is the answer. I know, like I feel like home grow for all with expanded limits is the answer, but I know it's not the complete answer. But it's like it's just where I start. I'm curious, where do you start? Like if you were to think of like if you could wave a wand and get one thing this year.
It is home grow, but it isn't home grow. It's just home grow is the access to the understanding of the plant. It's like I said, if you grow the plant, then you understand at the end of the day, it's just some like, it's the same as the dried leaves as the like plants that you grow in your garden. Like it's just dried leaves or buds, and like, what's the big deal about it? People smoke it. Ooh.
Right.
You know, but we use it because it's easy to use, both for us and for the government as a scapegoat for, you know, whatever it is they want to use it for.
Yeah. Oh, and we'll have some examples of that when we look at this annual cannabis report in a little bit.
Yes.
So, but yeah, I think that's really well said.
Yeah. It's just the understanding of the plant, and if we can understand the plant more, whether it's through education or whether it's through normalization or whether it's through understanding the plant in that you grow it from a seedling into a fully fruited and harvested plant and then dry it and then use it and understand what it is, you're like, oh, this is a whole lot of hoopla about nothing. You know what I mean? Like, why are we freaking out so much? So we need to, it's just one of the things that leads to the understanding is my point, I guess.
Yeah, if I'm picking up what you're putting down, like I feel like I have a similar experience a few years ago. One thing I'm really good about with growing cannabis is timing up. Like I can start growing cannabis and like let's say 3 to 6 months down the line whenever we, chop. I am so skilled at not having a plan, but somehow developing a plan to go on vacation at exactly the moment those plants need to be chopped.
Dude, it's so hard because like I was in such a cycle for so long that I couldn't go on vacation, and now that I'm very intermittent with like, cause I'm like, oh, I might go on vacation soon. Should I start another run? Do I need like it's nuts. It's nuts. I completely feel that. I think anybody who's had any sort of semi-perpetual garden going understands that. Like I can't go. I can't go.
Yeah. It's just like I say, it's
overgrow,
impeccable.
baby. Everybody should grow their own. Take a seed, put it in the ground, see what happens.
That's what if I could get some sort of like, I started this with a policy attitude, but if I could get some sort of cultural, like, I don't know. I wish there was like some energy again behind exactly what you just said, overgrow. I see more people saying it. I'm not saying that, I just wish it was like everybody was just very radical about that concept, like you and I are, where it's like, that's the baseline. And then all this other stuff that we're talking about, like rules and like we can figure out those rules for the people that want to follow those rules. My thing is like, and your thing and Dave's thing as well is like, we should just start, like you say, with just open access to the cultivation of this plant. Like that, because we've been doing that. Like that's never really stopped. It's just
if it was truly free.
Yeah,
that's what it is. We say things like that, and we say it so that others understand. If it was truly free, then home grow would be free. So we keep saying it like, hey, why doesn't the government just admit it? Well, they're never going to admit it. I mean, I guess we should probably keep saying it, but like,
yeah.
What does it matter?
Somebody asked this. I was going to try to get this question, but they asked again, what do you mean by expanded limits? I don't think there should be any limits at all, to be completely honest. But if we, are speaking government, I guess, like I like to use analogies. And so
just remember, I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you. I apologize.
No, you're good.
Just remember, it's not up to us to prove why something shouldn't be a law. It's up to them to prove why it should be a law.
Well said. That's a good point. Yeah, and just to briefly because I feel that was just such a brilliant point that I feel like I'm going to complete my thought, but I feel like yours kind of just made me feel like I should be approaching this a different way. So like I was going to say that I was just choosing a starting point, and I don't know what the starting point is. I don't have numbers, right? But I think that I've used this example before. If you get caught with like, let's say 100 joints, and let's say you're rolling gram joints, that's felony territory. But you don't, and I'm doing this off the top of my head, people should Google this, but I'm pretty sure in the state of Illinois, you don't enter felony territory for like possession of cigarettes until you hit like having like 10,000 unstamped packs, which is like I said 10,000 packs, right? So 10,000 times however many cigarettes comes in a pack.
That's a tax law, right?
It is, and
is
that's
it a possession law? Or is it a tax possession law?
It's kind of a tax thing, exactly, because it's, as I say, unstamped. That's the kind of key there. But if you it's totally about taxes. But I'm just trying to say that like it's not a conversation about you getting a felony and losing like your rights and having to go to prison in any other context except for like cannabis with really small amounts. So that when this person asks, what do you mean by expanded limits? Again, my answer here is I don't believe there should be limits at all. But if we have to choose them, I think they should be more like reasonable than what they are now. And I know that's really vague, but just to give you like to briefly, and I want to pitch it back to you, like with home brewing, for example, there are limits to how much you can brew, but it's like such a high, I don't even know what it is. I've heard that it's such a high number that it's nothing you really ever worry about. And it's like, you give it away to people. It's just a very casual thing. And that's what I guess I mean is like, I don't even think there should be limits for brewing, but I'm just using that as a starting point. But again, back to your thought, I'm like, why the fuck am I even trying to extrapolate what a law should be? Like they should be explaining why, like,
I mean,
your point kind of stopped me in my tracks there. So yeah, go ahead.
I mean, of course. I mean, if you listen to me enough, you already know what my answer is. Of course, we wish that the government would actually say what it is they're actually doing and be more transparent. Instead, they'll tell us something else and mean completely other things and do things for completely other reasons instead of just saying what it's for. It's for taxes. It's for enforcement. It's for control. It's the only thing the government can do is get bigger. Like that's the only thing a government can do is get bigger. So it's gonna do everything in its power to get bigger and to do more enforcement and to collect more money so that it can continue to do what it does. I don't personally believe that that whatever side you're on is better for or less than anybody else. And the system is corrupt, and so screw the system. You know what I mean? I'm trying to be nice about it and not be crude, but like whatever.
I like that. I agree. Fuck the system.
System.
Well, hey, before we segue,
it's obvious that it's corrupt. Let's just be honest and say it's all bad. It's all bad.
Straight up.
Yeah. Let's fix it. Like we don't say it because we don't want to fix it. We want to fix it. Let's call it like it is so we can get to fixing it. It doesn't mean anybody's better for being right or wrong. Let's just can we fix it? Like instead of just complaining about stupid stuff. That's all.
Well said. Well said. And like I say, before we segue to the state of Illinois, they released their annual cannabis report. I've got some notes. And we can go through pages. I didn't read the whole thing, but I did a pretty good deep dive today. We'll look at it together. And I'll have a link in the show notes so that you guys can download it yourselves and look at it. What were you about to say?
Can I just ask? I'm assuming that a lot of this had to do with their meeting earlier this year, right? That where they presented everything. Has to do with?
I believe, yeah. They like it was due to in like September.
Sure, but they've compiled it now and released it for the public. But a lot of this looks like some of their stuff that we had seen in that where they presented everything. I think both you and I attended that meeting.
Yes. Yeah, I'm trying to think of what it was at this point, but I know what you're talking about.
I think it was the crew meeting or where they presented all their their summary reports and their I can't think of the word I'm looking for now.
Are we talking about MCAB?
The presentations for
the medical cannabis advisory board?
Yeah.
That's that I feel like that's what it was, that they came to the medical cannabis advisory board.
Yeah, that's what it was. I'm sorry.
And no, you're okay. You jogged my memory. For a while I was lost, but now I'm found. So yes, there is some of that information. This is a very similar, I mean, they release a report every year, and that you guys can also find the links to those in the show notes as well. This one is similar to most years. I just, the information is relatively fresh. I believe the data, like I said, were like it's clear about when the data was collected. It was collected earlier this year, then compiled and released. And so we're going to go through that here in just a moment. I'll say what kind of stood out to me, and maybe I'm sure, Aaron, you're going to have some things to say as well. Before we segue to that, though, any other thoughts on just the I think you wrapped it up pretty well, but I just wanted to make sure to give you more space. I think we wrapped it up pretty well by saying, like, fuck the system. But I kind of asked the magic wand. I pitched it over to you. I just wanted to give you more space on that topic before we flip over.
Like, as far as what we can expand, or what we wish we could get, was that the original question? Like,
yes.
what we wish we could get in 2026, specifically for Illinois.
Or it could be federal too, if you.
I mean,
whatever.
Isn't everything up in the air federally? Like,
Right.
Isn't it kind of up in the air? We think we know, but we don't really know. I wish Illinois would get on board and either do it for the right reasons or just like let somebody fix it for the medical users, like, for real. Like, can we fix this? And can we get with the program? I mean,
Right.
it's not even that big of a deal. Like, there's other markets out there. We could be doing things so much better, and to expand it for the people,
Yeah.
honestly.
Well said. I mean, just to briefly add to your point, I just saw this report. We'd shared it in the past, but it's they released a new 50-second report, and I'm going to pull it up because, to your point, it's an issue as simple as this. There's a family in Schaumburg. You know what I'm talking about. There's this, and this family is, could be credited for passing what was called Ashley's Law. And in case people don't know, I'm just trying to say a few terms so that they can do more research on them, for themselves. So look up Ashley's Law if you want to learn more. But let's watch this 40-second report that I feel like really adds to your point. It's an issue as critical and as frankly simple as this one that we're about to see. So throwing it on my screen now, and we'll watch it together.
Schaumburg family launching a campaign to allow medical marijuana to be delivered over state lines. They say their daughter's health depends on this. Ashley Surin, inspired by Ashley's Law, which gave her access to medical marijuana patches in school. Her parents say the patches have kept her seizure-free for the last 8 years. But the company that makes the patches has moved production out of state, and current law doesn't allow the patches to be shipped here.
The patients are suffering. There needs to be major reform in legislation in the cannabis program and in the legislation as a whole in Illinois around the patients. We're being forgotten.
We reached out to lawmakers for comment, but haven't heard back.
18-year-old.
All right. Any thoughts before we close that out? I just felt that really added to your point.
So they're asking for interstate commerce laws to be changed here, right? This could be the catalyst for the change of interstate commerce, right? I mean, that's what they're asking. Why is it illegal for me to obtain medicine that works for my daughter? And I think you and Dave talked about this a couple of weeks ago, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and I believe you also had their attorney on a few weeks ago as well, correct? Or was that a different case?
Maybe a different case.
That might be a different case. That might be my bad.
Details sometimes.
There was somebody else, or maybe you two had talked about it. I don't remember. But I mean, this could honestly be the catalyst for the change there. I think when you and Dave spoke, his point was there's things that you could get in the market here or close by, but I think their point, the family in Schaumburg, is they should not have to change what works for them. Right. And I agree. It is unfortunate that the Mary's Medicinals transdermal patches no longer get made here. Is that correct?
Correct. I guess so. Yeah. I guess. Yep.
So this was a point I was thinking about some of my friends and who have been very recently gotten out of the medicinal market here in overregulated Illinois. I wonder, what do you think is going to happen with federal reform and medicinal in Illinois? I mean, if CBD products and stuff are going to be backed by Medicare, right, or reimbursed by Medicare, is that correct?
Yeah.
So like
yeah.
there's going to be some sort of reimbursement or some sort of federal or governmental payment for medical, right? So like, do you think that'll affect medical in Illinois? Do you think Illinois or do you think it's going to continue to be just a bummer market?
I'll start this off by saying I really don't know the answer because I see a lot of people say like different things and ask really good questions like that. But I don't like if you're asking me what I think is going to happen with that is that the Illinois medical market will continue like the way that it is, and that there might be like a CBD option, just like there's like a Epidiolex or a Marinol option that I feel like that stuff has to be covered by Medicare or insurance. I don't know. I could be wrong, but it goes through like the pharmaceutical process, and you can get that product somehow, from what I understand. And so, if the government does something like that with CBD, I just kind of look at it probably playing out like that. But to your like, from what I've seen other people say online, is like they worry that this could mark the end of medical cannabis because, like, if you're saying something is medicine, which I know in Illinois, we're very careful to call it a recommendation, not a prescription, so these are like little things we do to like differentiate it because there's a big difference. And I think that's what people gloss over. I always like to like say this small example and I can pitch it back to you, but like the way that medicine, like I guess Western medicine, Dave talks about this, and he's probably why I have like some of this knowledge as well. Like the way that it works is, a doctor gives you that prescription, you go to whatever pharmacy you go to, and you give it to them, and there's no like conversation really, like unless they're a nice person, they just get you exactly what the doctor told you they need, and you follow those directions or you don't. You can abuse medicines as well. But anyways, like,
but isn't that because of the regulations that we have that require it that only pharmacists can only do a certain thing and only doctors can do a certain other thing? And so it's because we have these rules and regulations that make it that way. So who's the problem then, man? Who makes the laws and regulations, man? Who says that we have to regulate everything, man?
It's the goddamn system again.
It's the damn system again. So like, can't we fix it? Instead of calling out like, oh, these people are good or these people are bad, or who cares? Let's just fix it, man.
Hell yeah. I'm with you on that.
Because I feel like I'm such a negative Nancy sometimes.
I think you sometimes you're just to the point, and maybe that feels hard for you because I know it's hard for me sometimes to be like blunt, but I think it's good sometimes because I have a way of, I can be a little bit long-winded sometimes, so like to go to the point is like an art. It's hard to do. And just to like briefly round out what I was saying, like to like just the difference between that prescription, which like you said is all due, the way all of that shit works is due to all those really crazy regulations. That's why I've got this DEA as a terrorist organization.
That's right. I mean, I'm a firm believer that we should abolish all the 3-letter agencies.
Yeah. I
100%.
I just have
like,
strong feelings about the DEA just because of Hamilton Morris. He's radicalized me on that one. So just to be funny. But anyways, the difference, folks, just really quick, like when people say, will CBD be a prescription or whatever, or how is medical cannabis going to work if it's a prescription in the future? And it's like, I think it's going to work, unfortunately, unless we do change the system. It's going to work the way the system works, and it's going to be this like pharmaceutical experience, and that is what it is. But I still think there's going to be just to like be very clear, I do think there's still going to be like the medical market the way that it is. You know, and the medical market the way that it is sucks, unfortunately, too. But
I mean, so like,
I just don't see it marking the end of the dispensaries, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I mean, I just don't see medical ever recovering in Illinois, unfortunately.
Yeah. Oh, and we're gonna have data to go through on that. So maybe that's
fantastic.
maybe that's a good.
Does it?
It's not good, I don't think.
Uh,
But maybe you can.
does it tell us the amount of active?
Yes.
Oh, fantastic, dude!
Yes.
I cannot wait till next week too. Me and Dave are going to have so much fun stuff to talk about too. I can't wait to talk about it with you as well. This is fantastic. This is a great Christmas present. Thank you. Thank you, Illinois.
And thank you, everybody, for tuning into this episode of the Cole Memo. We'll be right back to go through the annual cannabis report for 2025. We're going to have some fun, folks. All right. Once again, the state of Illinois released the. Oh, somebody had a question.
It was a comment over in my my live chat over at the T-Dub Dudes channel.
Let's address it.
Yeah, Legal Alien wanted to know if Schedule 3 changes interstate law on cannabis.
I don't think so.
Shout out Legal Alien. Grows some great plants and is a fine person who lives on Earth, and I love them.
I was just gonna look up. One of the lawyers that I did just have on the show, she wrote an article about what their take is on rescheduling.
The very esteemed Michael Lasley says that interstate law will not change on cannabis. The very esteemed Michael Lasley. I defer to his wisdom in most things.
Hell yeah. I mean, I was just gonna try to pull up. I was gonna say Ali Jubileer from Benesh Law. I believe she just wrote an article, and she was talking. Oh yeah, it came out on December 22nd. I'll throw it on screen if people want to be able to search this up and Google it. She gives her take as a legal professional, and basically says she does not foresee that being the case, like that it will allow for interstate commerce. So here it is: executive order, a game changer for cannabis and hemp. The key takeaways are that President Trump's new executive order is historic, not only because it directs the rescheduling of cannabis from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3, but because it also directs Congress to revise the, quote, hemp ban, quote, language in the 2026 fiscal year agricultural appropriations bill to carve out and protect access to full spectrum CBD and hemp-derived THC products subject to potency limits and with consideration to cannabinoid ratios and serving sizes. The timeline remains unclear. The impact is also unclear. They say 280E theoretically goes away. Theoretically means higher margins. It should go away. I believe she addresses interstate commerce on it. We'll be having her back on the show here soon. So check that out. And did you have any other thoughts on interstate commerce before I pull up this cannabis report?
Illinois is weird in the way, and I'm old enough. I have to say I'm an older person now. It may be this person that changes it just could be. You never know. It could just be this woman changes interstate law about cannabis through her lawsuit, and I wish her the best.
That yes.
Like I've seen weirder stuff happen. So good luck, and nobody should have to fight for access to cannabis. Nobody should have to change up the, and that's kind of a thing that happens with all medications. It even happens with pharmaceutical medications now because they get them from different suppliers, and sometimes they change and the efficacy of them changes. And you shouldn't have to, and it's unfortunate. And I think it speaks more about the Illinois market and why the Illinois market, does not lend itself to companies succeeding in the medicinal market in Illinois. You see, how many sublingual companies are out there doing it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Look at Mary's Medicinals, which used to be around, if anybody who was around pre-rec, was a pretty standard thing that was in Illinois. And now that we're recreational, like, they're not making them anymore. Right?
Right. Yeah. Another question for you. Take this on.
What have I heard about laws concerning blood work in 0% per se states? I mean, I think, I'm not a lawyer, but I think the question is, how do you differentiate between Delta 8 and Delta 9 hemp and cannabis?
And that'll be something we talk about in this annual cannabis.
I mean,
report. It's definitely on the
are we
police
training
radar.
are we training our police to be actual phlebotomists?
I mean, it does say, I believe they do say, and I'm just going off the top of my head right now. Like I say, we'll get to it, but just to keep this conversation going, like, yeah, they do say they take them to like the hospital to do this.
Yep.
And it does seem like they're aware of some of the terms I've discussed on the show in the past regarding like shit that I didn't and I'm not going to pretend I even understand it. At the time, I had a loose understanding just because I was talking to some subject matter experts. At this point, I might be saying it wrong, but like differentiating between THC carboxy, which is like, I think what your body actually produces. And that was one of the whole scandals with the University of Illinois lab, if you recall. Yep. Where they were like converting urine.
They were converting the enzymes that are produced after cannabis goes through your liver, your kidneys, right? And from your urine, and then converting it back into what they would say would be THC.
Right.
Which is not a it is not an approved scientific method. It is a way to do things, but it is not the correct way to do things. And nobody does it that way, except for that lab. That was the only lab that did it that way.
Yeah. And in fact, the legal expert that was called in, the scientific expert, she's on the board of Smart Approaches to Marijuana, which is not supportive of legalization. And she even testified.
People really do not like that you talk to them.
Oh no, they don't. But you can, if you want to see that I talk to people that aren't supportive of legalization, you can at colememo.com/Sam. It's always
it's
fun
great
conversation.
It's I think you should I don't believe that you should not platform somebody or something. I think all speech should be out there, and especially bad speech, because then you can identify how bad it is. And so let them continue having their smart approach to marijuana, and we can continue to know what their game plan is and continue to, smash them into oblivion.
Yeah, I mean,
with logic and facts.
Yeah, my goal is to just capture their perspective, anybody's perspective on anything, but especially theirs, because it's definitely an opposing view of mine, and I think it's interesting to capture that perspective, because a few years from now, or I've even literally, you can look at conversations I've had a few years ago with them, and you can see. I just think it's interesting to have that conversation in a time capsule to reflect on and think about how the times have changed. So And speaking of platforming,
Yeah.
Lasley, if you
Thank
want
you
to
for
call
that,
in,
Leslie. Call in, Leslie.
yeah, I was gonna say you can call
have
in and
both
join the
platformed you.
conversation, dude. I would love it. We're about to go through the annual cannabis report, and I've got notes and I've got thoughts, and I'm sure Aaron will too, and I know Lasley will. So call in.
Do you have a
Full
thought
memo.
about this? They were wondering if per se states will have to differentiate between medical and recreational use. I think that's a very interesting question. Some cat on the internet.
That is a great question. These are the questions that need to be asked, because I've heard that some states might, but I really don't know.
I mean,
Like have different levels.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I really don't know.
I mean, you've talked about the enforcement of DUIs in Illinois and in the United States, and how there's really no discernible way to tell how much cannabis you have recently had and how it affects you while driving. There's been some talk recently about the new, have you seen this new product that is supposed to be like the new DUI meter that they've been testing?
I
It's
haven't.
like the breathalyzer, the cannabis breathalyzer that yeah.
Wow. I wonder how the hell that works.
I mean, some sort of science that they'll say is correct and is probably not correct at all. I could probably find something about it if you if you give me 20 seconds. Let me see here.
I just had to. Yeah, we lost our comment section. So folks, they're
did we?
back. They're
nice.
back. Sorry, it may have just been on my end. But Lasley, if you want, I'll send you a link and you can call in now. And join if you want to. Again, no pressure. I just think you'll have good.
thecolmemo.com/live.
It's that. That's
Oh, wow. That seems so easy, Cole.
Yeah.
So easy. I heard that you don't even have to turn your camera on.
You don't.
If anybody in the future ever wanted to do that.
Yeah.
I'm just
You
saying.
don't even have to turn the camera on. I mean, yeah, call in. But we'll be doing that. But yeah, did someone's saying we've got a lot of good thoughts rolling in. So each person has tolerance that field testing will be able to distinguish, to be able to detect impairment. Some Chris Brady's saying what, and I said Chris's name correctly, I'm pretty sure. This is a good question. Lasley's cooking, so he needs just a second, which is cool. Yeah, because we'll be getting to the annual cannabis report here in just a sec. We're going to be taking these questions. Good question here. You got any thoughts on this one? And if you found what you were looking for, feel free.
Why are we testing the body for impairment instead of the mind?
I don't even know how you test the mind, but it's I get the question.
Well, I mean, there's actually tests that they use to test the mind. It's similar to DUI testing. It's like movement of the eyes and such. Have you ever talked to law enforcement who does alcohol?
Yeah, that'll be something that's in the state thing we're going to be going through. It's drug recognition experts, and I'm like, I feel like I can recognize drugs. Maybe this is a job for me.
I mean,
I'm sorry,
you
stupid joke, but
I mean, you never know.
Yeah, you never know. So, but anyways, you're saying there's a breathalyzer. So interesting, folks.
Here, I can send you this older one in the private chat.
Okay.
Hopefully that's not terrible.
Let's see what it is. Oh, and if folks wanted to check it out, I meant to mention this. Episode 97 is where I talk about the per se limit, and I actually use testimony, or rather read testimony from the scientific expert that's actually going to be quoted in today's annual cannabis report, but also is on the board of directors, or they're on some board for an association or relation to smart approaches to marijuana. And I just thought it was so notable that this person who is seemingly against legalization was even saying the way that the way that these cases were handled with regard to our DUI statute was wrong. I just
Mhm.
think that's pretty notable. So, but I'll flash this on screen if people want to Google it. The headline from last year is that police are unveiling a new tool to detect cannabis impaired driving. Is this okay? This is on Minnesota. I see.
Yeah, this is up in Minnesota. I think Dave and I have talked about it before. Some of this, some of the testing, we've talked about that with the 0.5 nanograms as well, and just how you had reported that it was like they had picked it arbitrarily, correct? Like they're like, well, why did you choose that? And they're like, it was just a number, and so they can't really prove like how long that stays in your system. Or why, what attaches to. They're using false data, false science to prosecute people, specifically in DuPage County. Carol Stream specifically used that UIC lab more than anybody in the state. I think that was also reported on. That's not something I just heard. That was like factually reported in a couple of articles as well. I think enforcement continues because they can use enforcement to seize our property and collect money from us by way of fines.
Right. Yeah.
I don't think it's going to get any better with it being rescheduled either. I think it'll be further enforced.
Yeah.
Personally,
I really hope not, but stranger things have happened, and unfortunately the way we handle things are not great. K and MJ squared says University of Wisconsin and Madison participated with some of the breathalyzer studies. In a weird way, I would almost, and I'm just trying to be funny here, I would almost want to participate in one of those studies. Like, how high am I? I don't feel that high. You're trying to say I'm that high? Nah, that thing's fucking off. Just kind of like, I'm just
no, like I can definitely see something if it's if we're talking about cannabis edibles, because edibles are psychoactive. Inhaled cannabis is different from eaten cannabis, as long as you are a human being and the way you process things are normal to humans. Either you smoke it or you eat it. If you eat it, it's psychoactive. I think you're probably if you're on like 2,000 milligrams of edibles, you probably shouldn't be driving. If you just smoked a joint, I think it's probably not as harmful as eating 3,000 milligrams and driving. That's common sense to me.
Yeah. So it's crazy stuff. Well, commenters, giving you just a little bit more space if you have any thoughts on this, and then we're gonna go through. I'm really excited. Somebody said, "Hey, I went to the University of Wisconsin-Madison. Sign me up." Yeah. Any other thoughts just on like, I don't even know how we got to impairment and stuff. We were talking about the per se laws and
I think
and how they were different in interstate commerce and
yeah.
I was just like trying to think about how we got here and making sure we didn't, have any loose ends that went unaddressed.
No, I think we wrapped that one.
Okay, cool. Well, I am going to be right back, and we're going to be talking about the annual cannabis report. And Dave, Aaron, I mean to say, I'm high. If I'm not back by the time I get back, feel free to just fill up air and talk, but I should be back by the time this bumper's done. Be right back, folks.
Cole's not back, so I'm supposed to fill it up with some air. So this is me filling it up with some air.
We're
Welcome back. Welcome
How long
back,
you been at
fellow
it?
memos. Enough for me to half ramble something.
There we go. Cool. Well, I hope you had fun. I hope you had fun. And I hope everybody's having fun because we are about to talk about, speaking of wrapping up 2025, I just want to say really quick, if you're just tuning in now, we're going to be recapping 2025 at colememo.com/2dope. I'll also be having a friend on, I think maybe tomorrow evening, and we're going to be doing something similar where we talk about some stories that caught our eye and just kind of reminiscing, if you will. So look forward to that, but definitely tune in at colememo.com/2dope. And you'll be able to see us on Monday, probably around 4:30. We'll definitely be feeling good at that point because that's 10 past. And so I hope to see you all there as we recap and remember 2025. But speaking of 2025, the state of Illinois released the 2025 annual cannabis report. You can read it now at colememo.com. You can also see previous reports from all prior years. And what better timing? We have Mr. Michael Lasley joining us. How's it going?
Pretty good, guys. How's it going?
Great.
What's up?
Do you
What's
want
up,
to?
Leslie? How are you?
Fantastic, man. How you doing?
Great.
We're all feeling great too because we've been sparking it up. But introduce yourself real quick, Lasley, before we get into the report.
Oh, of course. Hi, everybody. I am Michael Lasley. I'm the content director for Illinois News Joint. Long time in Illinois cannabis. Do a little bit in the Missouri market, Michigan market as well.
Hell yeah. And that's illinoisnewsjoint.com if people are wanting to check it out. We've got it on screen. And in fact, they just released a report on the report we're about to go through. So you can see their coverage of that and so much more at illinoisnewsjoint.com.
My number one news site.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. You'll see it referenced on the Elevated News podcast all the time. And yeah, it's a great source. So check it out, folks. illinoisnewsjoint.com. And here's the report. And like I said, I've got some notes. I thought this was interesting. And this part was definitely covered in Illinois News Joint, or I believe I recall seeing it in Illinois News Joint coverage over fiscal year, just to start. Over the fiscal year 2025, IDFPR issued operational licenses to 93 dispensaries, which is the most of any year so far here in Illinois. So basically, I thought that was a really interesting stat right off the bat. And basically, like I said, what I'm doing today is going through things that I found were like notable achievements that they listed or goals that they had. And so I believe this was somewhere around page 8 where they discuss this. And so additionally, they're talking about the Metric Seed to Sale project and how it's entering the post-launch phase with additional enhancements and improvements for licensees and consumers, which should increase transparency into the cannabis supply chain. And if you're wondering, because I typically, I try to cover the industry side, but I typically focus on the consumer side. And one thing I'm really excited about with regard to this, I guess, post-launch phase, as they're calling it, is that from what I've seen in the materials they've released or at least discussed, there's going to be like a consumer portal where you can look up products. And I don't know what it's going to look like. Like they've kind of just said things at high levels, so I'm not sure. And I don't know if I'll have to do some research and see if like other states have done this. Cause I believe in one of the presentations, they said Massachusetts did. I tried to research it, couldn't find it. But I thought that sounded super interesting. And so I just wanted to mention it. Out of those two things that I mentioned, or if you had any other thoughts that you saw in the IDFPR report, Lasley and Aaron, feel free to bring them up. Or like I say, if you had any other observations that you noticed, yeah.
No, I'm interested in the dispensaries. I think we're definitely ramping up. And so we've got probably another 200 or so licenses to go. I expect 26 will probably exceed 25 for openings.
Yeah. Here's a map that shows how they're spread out across the counties. So 26 we'll see more openings. Yeah, and I hope so, because like you say, as licensing ramps up, I think that's another thing they talked about. They've like digitized the licensing process completely, for lack of better words. And so it's, there's less paper, it's faster, stuff like that. So that's exciting to look forward to.
Yeah, no, I'm pumped. I think we'll see a lot more crafts come online. I think we'll see a lot of infusers and a lot of vape companies and edible companies come out of that too this year. So we've still got a long way to go. People don't realize how much growth is left in the market.
Right. Aaron, any thoughts?
I mean, I'm always for expanding access to cannabis, especially in the southern markets and the mid market. I mean, look at the map right there. We've got a lot in the Chicagoland area, which we can actually support that mostly with the population, but the people in other places who have to drive, it's ridiculous. And I guess it always, as is, remains to be seen. We're in year 5 of legalization. Anybody who knows anything about business knows that year 5 is the big year, right? Year 5 is when most of the time you start seeing a failure, and you start seeing companies go out. I think we're going to see a lot of companies go out this year too.
Look at PharmaCann.
I mean, look at PharmaCann. Yeah, exactly. So, we'll see if the market supports it. So far, the numbers have not looked great. You can say that it's due to underreporting, and now that there's a switch over from Metric from BioTrack, it's going to be better and or different. I say that we're just changing the name of the goalposts and calling it something completely different, and just saying it's better. So it remains to my point being, it remains to be seen if the market's going to support more dispensary openings, like how much more vape companies with exclusive recipes using 2-year-old GTI distillate can we open?
Well, the market is definitely going to test that assumption because there's a lot on the way, man.
No, I know. I'm not trying to be negative about it necessarily. I'm saying how many more vape companies can we open?
Right. Well,
it's crazy.
To Leslie's point, and I think that this is going to be interesting because somebody was talking to me earlier today or a while ago about. It was on the subreddit, and it's like the idea that we shouldn't allow Michigan products. I'm like, look, there's at least 500 products. Like, I don't know how. And it actually, in this report, IDOA says they facilitated the registration of 6,000 new products. So I think to Leslie's point, there's going to be much more. It's gonna keep going, and I don't see it slowing down. And people are going to rebrand and all, yeah. So
personally, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Go to an alcohol, go to a Benny's and tell me how much different, how many options and brands and labels and how many are doing the same thing. And yeah, that's a market. That's an active market. There is definitely a niche available. And there are some cultivators that are kind of getting into it for people that are doing high quality flower and some really interesting genetics. I mean, look at people like IC Collective. They lean into really old school, diesel head genetics and stuff. I like that. I think that's the thing is everybody's going to come in early and they say, what's easy? Oh, let's mix up some vapes. Let's throw together some gummies. And then once the market continues, you'll start to see these people that carve out niches.
Fair.
Yeah.
That's a really fair point, Michael. That's a really fair point.
Yeah.
It's an entry into the market at least, and then you can just see what happens.
Well, for a lot of these folks, especially when you think about the startup costs, you have to get any product to market. You just have to get some money coming in order to keep your people fed and keep your business alive a lot of the time.
Yeah. Well said. No, and those are really great points, like Aaron said. So I think it's still hilarious. I accidentally called you Dave. Again, once again, folks, I will be joined by Aaron and Dave at colememo.com/2dope. So check it out. What were you going to say?
Sorry, I was responding to a comment and I just got to shut my mouth. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're okay. So one thing I thought was really exciting, and I think it's covered in this summary here, which is page 30, 31 of the Illinois Department of Agriculture section in this annual cannabis report. And they say that again, I covered the facilitation of new products. I thought that was interesting, so I wanted to cover that. Here's this little graph of things that they have done like the past year, which I thought was really cool, and that's where I grabbed that stat from. If you see that there. There's a lot more, like I say, that I don't cover. So I'll say once again, if you want to check out this full report, go to colememo.com or go to colememo.com or check out the show notes for this episode is really what I mean to say. One thing that stood out to me that I'm interested to see, because I've gotten like what I feel have been like I haven't interpreted them, I guess I should say, as consistent like responses. So it's really cool to hear like this statement. So I've asked about the Bureau of Cannabis Testing in the past. I'm like, is it for auditing products? And it's like, no, I've been told, no, it's not for auditing products. But then some other people will be like, it's like Secret Shopper. But then some people will say, no, it's like, I've been told like, no, it's just if we hear about issues, then we may like grab products and do some testing on them. I'm sure they can do it for all of those reasons. So it doesn't have to just be one reason, right? Things are nuanced. But I thought this was really exciting to read. So they say, can't remember where, it's right here. For the fiscal year 2026, the primary goal of the Bureau of Cannabis Testing, which is under the Illinois Department of Agriculture, is to fully staff and validate the laboratory, ensure that it operates with peak efficiency and scientific rigor. This will not only involve bringing the team to full capacity, but also undertaking the critical task of validating all scientific methods. Once these foundational steps are complete, the lab will work toward obtaining full laboratory accreditation. I can't speak right now.
Sure, I completely understand.
A key milestone that will formalize its commitment to quality and accuracy. With these elements in place, the team can then confidently begin field sampling. This is the part that stood out to me, if you can't tell. That's the very last sentence. With these elements in place, the team can then confidently begin field sampling and reanalysis of cannabis materials to support quality assurance testing across the state. And again, that's a very nuanced statement, so it could take form in many different shapes. But I'm just excited to see how it takes shape. Like because they share a lot of interesting data in this report. And so like, I've been showing a lot of graphs, which is pretty simple, where it's like where licenses are issued by county and stuff. But there's so much more data, like tax data, demographic data. And so I'll just say again, check out the full report. But I thought that was a really interesting thing to look forward to. Like what can we expect from this lab? It sounds like they're going to be doing things like that. And I'm just interested to see like what that actually looks like and how it advances cannabis policy.
So
what are your thoughts?
So they're going to be validating the other labs' testing, right? So does that mean that?
Well, that's the thing, though. It doesn't really say that. It says with these elements and
field sampling and reanalysis of cannabis materials to support quality assurance testing across the state. So are they? Is their idea to have like independent to test against? Like is that what they're doing? Like, are they going to have like? Are they going to just test everything and be like, yo, this is what all this stuff tested as? What did it test for all the rest of you guys? Check against our numbers. Like, is that what the state's doing? Like, are they the official numbers now?
What do you
I think they're probably just going to do spot checks. They probably won't do all the testing. I mean, you look at that, they had 6,000 new products registered. So they have all the other profit-making labs. I think what they're going to do is follow up with spot checks, buy stuff, retest it. Does it, is it within the 10%? Is there mold? Is there yeast? And then kind of build from there. I've always thought that was the best way to do it too.
But how can they do that efficiently with some of the products? Like, okay, distillate you can test. Distillate is distillate, right? And when they test that, all the distillate is the same. So fair, but like now we're talking flower products. We all understand how flower products are tested in Illinois, correct? Like we're all like, we know that like they take a bushel and they take a small amount of that from that bushel and they test it and it's plus or minus 15% THC. Yes, and you get to choose the stocks, and you get to a lot of times you get to choose who your inspector is and who gets to inspect. But like that's how it works, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and then you take that whole bushel and then you package it and you say, this is what it comes back as. But that doesn't mean that that whole bushel is the same. So like, how are they going to test that? How are they going to know? It degrades. Like there's a million things that could happen. So like, how do they do that? I just want to
If you're
know.
a cultivation center, I think if you're a producer in a cultivation center, you can make the argument about THC, but I don't think you can make the argument about mold and yeast. I think that they can come back through, and if they find that stuff, and at the end of the day too, like we're telling consumers, this is a special system, and we have a special license and a special lab panel that we put on this product you're buying. And at the end of the day, that accuracy matter or not.
Okay, I'm sorry. On the hemp side, that's been the case. That is my bad.
I think maybe the difference is, and I don't know. We're waiting.
You can choose who to hire on the hemp side, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know about that. I'm not like I just don't even.
That has been my personal experience.
Right. Sorry, I didn't mean to like.
Your
I didn't mean
mileage
to
may
say.
vary.
I wasn't saying like that. I doubted you. I was just saying I am just not like literally not aware of how that works. But I was gonna say that like to I believe this is I'm trying to think of his name. What's his brand? Lasley, you know his brand. Makes edibles. Get to the. I got the munchies.
I got the munchies. Yeah, Berwin.
Yeah, Berwin. Thank you. He's saying we don't get to pick an inspector. I think what he's saying, I don't get to pick a state inspector. However, am I wrong in saying like the labs you pick? And so there's I think what Aaron was saying is that like just to put it like technically like the sample collection, if you will, like it works differently depending on the lab, just to put it lightly. And I think that's kind of the sample size is another point that you were kind of making.
Are we testing every?
It's representative of the batch.
Are we testing every plant, or are we testing every cultivar? Like, let's be honest about it.
Yeah.
Right. Like we're testing. We're taking a little bit and we're applying it to a whole lot.
Yeah, like I say, it's like it's supposed to be representative of the batch.
And to Leslie's point, like the reason I ask this is because if the government is saying, hey, this goes through our super special, double tested, rigorous testing, then we need to ask these questions, because otherwise, we're not being correct, and we're not being informative and healthy about it. We're not doing the plant justice. Like, we have to ask these questions. What is it that you guys are trying to do? Like, what is it that you're doing? Like, let's be honest about the testing. Let's be honest about all that stuff, so that everybody has the same education and can actually benefit from the plant.
Yeah, man, I think there's a lot of education to be done for consumers in the world of testing. I think the three of us can agree that the picture you get on a label is not a true representation of what the test is,
Very well said. And to just, I thought this stood out to me, just going down the IDOA report. They released, I know I showed the dispensary map earlier. Now I've got the cultivation center and craft grower map. I'll make it here a little bit bigger here. So it's a little bit hard to see, and I apologize. There we go. I made it a little bit bigger. So on the left, you're seeing the state of Illinois. On the right, you're seeing sort of like a Chicagoland, if you will, which is cool because since there are a concentration, whether it be craft or cultivation or dispensary licenses, it's cool that they release that breakdown so that you can see a little bit like where they're actually located. So I thought that this was a cool graph that they released. One other quick fact that they mentioned on page 40 was that, and Lasley, you don't have to like say the brand name or whatever. I just want to know if you've heard of it. Like, you can keep it at a yes or no. I had never heard of this. IDOA has one craft grower that shares premises with one dispensary. However, the craft grower is non-operational in FY25. Like it's maybe a future thing or something, but I hadn't heard that before. Had you heard that?
No, I hadn't. The only thing, wow, no, I had not seen the same premises. The only thing I can think of that's remotely close would be like Molly's Joint has the Redemption grow right next door, right? But I don't think, no, I'll have to do a little research. Yeah.
Yeah, here it is from the and
Oh,
maybe
actually,
that's what they're-
I think I do. I will send you a message. Actually, I think I do know who this is.
Okay, yeah. Like I say, we don't have to talk about it because I know that's if they're non-operational, maybe they don't want, that's all good. But I just didn't know, just at a base level, I just thought that was cool. I'd not heard of something like that in Illinois. So just it's cool to see that in a report, right? So yeah, another thing that I thought was
Place in
cool.
Missouri.
Oh, go ahead.
There's a place in Missouri that has like a dispensary up front and then like a literal giant glass wall, and the grow is behind there. And then they do like limited releases of stuff that comes from that production facility for that dispensary and things like that. I think going forward, that'll be a big model.
That's so cool.
That's cannabis tourism is a thing that Illinois is missing out on.
Yeah. Well
Just
said.
saying.
Somebody said Chicagoland is shaped like somebody. By somebody, I mean Cannabis
Critique. Yeah.
Check them out.
Oh man.
They say Chicagoland is shaped like Florida. I didn't even realize that. Another thing I thought was interesting, they in the FY 2025 expenditures, I think they all basically did this, but they kind of, of course, since they all did that, I'm not going to be able to find it. But for IDOA, they showed how everything broke down from not only the cannabis fund, the cannabis regulation fund, but also the compassionate use of medical cannabis fund, like what it takes to staff that and everything else. And so I don't know, I found that stuff to just be interesting. It's like, I didn't know that.
What are the numbers this year for the medical cannabis fund?
Oh, I don't know if they actually covered that specifically. They
that?
may have. They may have. But I don't know if they covered that specifically. They were kind of just talking about and in this case, they were talking about being appropriated funds. So it wasn't necessarily coming into those.
Gotcha.
So out of those funds, rather, from what I understand, it was like they're appropriated funds by the legislature. And then some went to the cannabis fund and some went to the compassionate use of medical cannabis fund. And like I said, I think it was for like staffing and, maybe travel or whatever, but definitely check it out, folks. I believe that's covered somewhere around page 40 in the case of IDOA. Actually, page 42, I wrote it down. So you can check that out. So we're getting to the fun
one of the
part.
things I was
go ahead.
I was really interested in there was the difference in, or how close the amount of money the state had received from the original 21 licensees and the craft producers. That they had received like $5 million from the original licensees, the original 21, but they've already received well in excess of $3 million from the crafts. And so the state's making quite a bit more money from this craft program than they were the original producers.
That is very notable. I wish I could find.
It's a couple pages after the maps.
A couple pages after the maps. Okay, so I had that on page 32. So we'll show folks. I'll just put it on screen what I'm doing here. I'm just scrolling through, and you can find this linked at IllinoisNewsJoint.com or on thecolememo.com or just by Googling it, but those are definitely two sources where you can find it. So, okay, we're after the maps. Here is the number kind of broken down in a few different ways. Changes in ownership, licensing timeline. I'm sorry if I'm going too quick. Tell me to slow down if you need me to. Renewals, data, more data, and kind of broken down different ways. Inspections, fines, appeals. Here we go. We're getting into dollars.
There it
Show
is.
me the money. Okay, so yeah, you're saying, is this the number? These are the numbers you're referencing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just in license
And-
fees, it's kind of wild how much they've received from the craft side in comparison to these original 21 licensees.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's that's super notable.
The
Thank you
government
for pointing that
continues to
out.
charge more money to participate.
And I should
Yeah.
ask
Yeah.
Lasley,
Yeah. Yes.
was there anything out of the IDFPR thing? Because I feel like I breezed over it, and you had I don't remember if anything else on that, because I kind of switched over to the IDOA one.
That one thing's pretty cool. I'll say the big thing that here, because I've been doing some research on this, we're missing a craft license.
Missing a craft license. Say again, because
In
for a second you broke
Craft
out.
licenses now. So we're missing a craft license. If you go through this report, it references 87 total craft licenses. We issued 88 licenses. Where did the license go?
It just
Say
disappeared.
somebody gave up a license, and it actually says on the CIA listing, license has been forfeited. It does not say who it was.
I mean,
That's interesting. Definitely interesting.
I have been trying to figure out who forfeited a license, or if it was ever operational, or, because that really does affect how we're going to move forward with the rest of these non-operational licenses.
Yeah.
well, I've said that many times, that it is a shame that the state is using these non-operational and or social equity licenses as a scapegoat to no longer allow people to participate in the market. Yeah, one of the PharmaCann grows just closed, right?
Well, and wasn't there
Yep.
one other one too? Or
Was
at
that
least
in Michigan? That was in the UP in Michigan near Marquette, right? I believe.
I don't know. I feel like
I know
there
what
was
you're talking
one.
about.
It was Forcan, definitely it was, but I think it was somebody else too.
Yeah, I'm looking back through my own show to see, because I know I definitely discussed it briefly.
No, it was
but-
definitely on Iltrees.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Well, Forefront.
Well, yeah.
Cannabev
Yeah.
coming
Yeah,
in. play.
Forefront. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
PharmaCann.
That's what it was.
So,
Check out Cannabev. Bruce Berwin
Forefront
says
is-
Forefront is still open. Oh, okay. Well, we're getting into I'm not sure territory, but I still appreciate the comments and keep dropping them, folks. If you
The point
haven't
is, there
already,
is a license,
Yes.
a very valuable medical license that has now shut down, and it probably will not open back up. I think the state's just going to give it up too. There's no fair way to reissue it.
I mean, I can't believe that you would say that the state did something in a unfair way, Michael. That's so rude.
Well,
Yeah, big surprise there.
that's funny.
So,
So
I was speechless for a minute.
yeah. So page 42 is going to be fun because it's the Illinois State Police's report, and I had a lot of observations there, and I think it's going to be interesting to talk through, just because I know we all are going to agree on this. But any other thoughts on IDOA, IDFPR, just anything? Lasley, I'm so glad you brought that up, because if anybody knows, feel free to reach out at IllinoisNewsJoint.com, or reach out to me as well. Whoever.
Yeah, even if you don't want it
Sure.
published, managing editor at IllinoisNewsJoint.com, send me an email, man. I'm just curious.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, like I said, though, just a little bit of space here. Any other thoughts on IDOA or the IDFPR?
We
report?
sure
'Cause those
collected
are
a
the
lot
ones
of
we covered.
taxes this year, or last year.
Is that what this is, or are you looking at something else?
Page 41.
Page 41. Okay. Page 41. Okay. Taxation, licensing, and other fees. So this is cultivation state tax.
Yeah.
Very interesting. That is a good amount of tax money.
Just saying.
Somebody made a point that, in IDFPR has definitely made this point in the past. They're supportive of like legislation that allows patients to shop at any dispensary. They've voiced that. They don't, that's as much as they really can do, is just voice that they agree with that type of change, and hope that legislators kind of get together on the issue and sort of address it, which that's definitely been, kind of a long conversation. So
Yeah, absolutely.
Here's a good question by Cannabev, and this is something that's hard for me to keep track. So maybe maybe Lasley can weigh in on this if you're available. I saw you're muted, so I'm not sure if you stepped away. Do we have more grows coming online? Because I see new dispensaries every week, which is sort of a point we made earlier. He said that, we're having a lot of openings right now.
Cannabev, I mean, and you might be more uniquely suited to answer this. Is it profitable to have a grow in Illinois? Is it really?
Yeah. I don't know.
What's the incentive to have a grow? What's the incentive for people to, open a compliance cultivation center?
Yeah. Lasley, you got thoughts on that?
I think the only thing you have, at that level of expectation, because the requirements for those medical cultivation centers are even higher than the craft grow requirements. And so, you would probably have to be an MSO trying to position yourself.
Right.
Right now, probably not. But right now, probably not. There's not a ton of hugely profitable ways of doing it. Yet again, we're just kind of in this place where everybody's looking towards the future. You're planning for the future. If you're growing in Illinois, if you're infusing in Illinois or anything, you're worried about 5 years out. And so, I don't know. Is it worth it? Maybe. It depends on how Schedule 3 shakes out and how reschedule and descheduling shakes out. It could be in 20 years valuable, but as of right now, probably not.
Unfortunately, it kind of it handicaps us in that it does not allow people who are really passionate about the product and growing the product to participate in the market, which tends to lead to and that's just because of how the market is too, and how the states decided that it should be. So you just kind of flounder, and it handicaps the Illinois market, and we'll continue to be behind on most real good products, and we'll get them eventually. We might be first in taxes, but we'll be the last in everything else. Just saying.
Yeah.
I wish we could grow. I wish we could grow good, better product. Not that all the product in Illinois is bad. I just wish we could do. We could obviously do much better, and we could be on the forefront of really doing some great things to benefit people, but we don't.
Man, I've always said that our market is not designed for the future. It's not designed for
correct.
What comes after this. There's really, but in the end, yet again though, long term, you got to think: does it really make any sense to grow weed in Illinois? Does it really fiscally make sense to grow any weed in Michigan or Missouri and stuff?
Environmentally.
Yeah, no, it really doesn't. In the end, when we get to true federal level legalization, I assume most everything will be grown in California outdoors.
Right.
We'll have specialty stuff and there'll be small growers everywhere, but when it comes to large scale manufacturing, it does not make sense to grow cannabis inside in Illinois.
Yeah. Yeah. Cannabis Critique asked a question. I'm just going to throw it out there. Are there any products we're behind on right now? And then Cannabev also dropped the mic too.
I mean, apparently we're behind on transdermal patches that work for kids with seizures or with epilepsy. So
Well,
I guess we're behind on that. It has to do more with the way the market trends are, and the way because it's not prioritized, and because we have our regulations are so slow, and we can't actually innovate and have a healthy market, that we start to lose products. Like go into your regular dispensary and ask for something that you can stick up your rear end, and most of the places are not going to have anything. And for people with prostate cancer, or even women who have period cramps, can use that, and that's access to cannabis. And because we don't have very many medical markets or medical dispensaries, or even a want for stuff like that, then the companies don't prioritize that and don't continue to make it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like you say, that's unfortunate that products that were really wellness focused, have sort
And
of
even more
gone.
selfishly, like, we just don't have a lot of access to things that they have in Missouri. There's a much wider selection of hash holes and, larger concentrate selections and flower formats that we just don't get over here. And so, yeah, the increased competition is definitely our biggest miss when it comes to products.
Right.
I mean, yeah, Cannabev, what's up?
Yep. He says, I sold weed suppositories. And in case people are wondering, because, there's some people in the chat making jokes, and it's like, I get that it's funny, but some people like actually, and I'm not trying to like say it's not funny as well, but like, like they are for people, in case you're wondering, they're for people that may have issues like digesting food because of their sickness. And like, this might be the only way in which they can like intake cannabis and then eat food, which is like that's often how it's, as I understand it, people that are in that situation, like they are able to ingest cannabis that way, and then that helps them prevent themselves from getting nauseous, which then they get the munchies, and then they can eat some food, and then they don't feel as bad.
That's exactly what I said, Miggy. Women with period cramps, they're fantastic for that as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Dave and I talked about this in an early Elevated News podcast, and I reminded him of the fact that some people have taste buds on their anus. So I asked him what his favorite flavor was. His is blueberry, mine is strawberry.
Today I learned. That's all I'll say. Missouri has no edible caps. That's pretty cool. I bet, Lasley, have you seen anything wild over there? Is that true?
Yeah. So when I was working with Groon, doing a little brand ambassadorship, we sold 1,000 milligram single bars over there. There are 5,000 milligram bags, pretty much every dispensary you go to, and everything from 1,000 up to 5,000, and all the little different shapes and formats you could possibly imagine out there. It's wild.
Yeah. Berwin says we're comparing a much larger market as opposed to Missouri. We will have more products, but we have to provide for a much larger market, if that makes sense. Yeah, we do have a large market. I think we're just talking about some of the benefits, that comes with a mature market, I think, right, Lasley?
Yeah. Well, I mean, and honestly, it's not up to the producers or anything. It's up to the state to give out the proper number of licenses to create the proper competition to make this happen. I will also say, though, the difference between Missouri and Illinois that really gets to me is that your regulations inform your culture. Over here in Illinois, because of the 100 milligram cap, because of the way that we keep these caps on everything, a lot of folks over here, when I talk to them about 100 milligram edible, they're like, oh my God, that's wild. That's what a crazy dose. I had regularly had 60, 70, 80-year-old people, little old ladies in Missouri, they were like, 200 milligrams, that's a good morning dose. It's just the way that it's more permissive in the law and society allows you, the end consumer, to have more freedom. And I think that really does inform the way your culture is. Illinois has a much more conservative cannabis culture than red state Missouri because our regulations are so tight.
Well said. Aaron,
Cannabis Critique, I will send you a link and you can get a 5K edible in St. Louis easily. No. You just got to go to the home growers, baby. St. Louis home growers. I think they're on Laramie Avenue.
I think it's great. Cannabis mentions Michigan. It's like sometimes you go there and you can get like a 200 milligram gummy for like $3. It's like, yeah, this is the way it's supposed to be.
I know people who regularly take 1,000 milligrams edibles, and you know.
Not saying it's for everybody. I want to be very clear.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it definitely happens.
It's a great thing.
I mean, you got to work up to it.
Yeah,
like you got to train for it like a soldier. If you're not training for it,
for a starter,
no, you'll be out of this world.
I want to just be very clear about that. But anyways, because
you know, there's something about some of the edibles and a lot of the sugar that we take. Hopefully, it doesn't turn out that it's not healthy for us. You know, same thing as states doing taxes based on THC. They may find that high THC is actually bad for people. So we're actually the states are actually incentivizing unhealthy practices just to collect taxes.
That's basically what Cannabis Critique just said.
Oh yeah.
I mean, yeah, you have to eat like 4 chocolate bars. It's like, you just feel kind of yucky.
Yeah.
That's why I like the high dose drinks. They're fun. Just fucking pound a couple of 50 milligrams, hit you quick. Leslie, you got something?
I like the powders. I like the kind of quick infusion powders and the kind of infused electrolyte drink mixes people have been doing here for that. But yeah, I agree 100%. Sugar's poison. We all kind of just agree with it, and it's cool because we give it to babies and everything. But sugar is 100% poison. It is awful for you.
Right. That's what was funny about
completely.
The whole hemp thing. Like, it was like, these are marketed to children. It's like, what do you mean by that? And it's like, well, it was candy. And it's like, yeah, we have that in dispensaries. I mean, it's not like that. And I'm not saying that we should have, I mean, we have things like that with alcohol, but anyways, we've covered that in the past.
Well, the idea that like children own candy is the most ridiculous idea I've ever heard either. Because like, there are tons of old people that commonly would, they're looking for their specific candy and stuff in the dispensary. So it's not a child thing. But I will say that, it's that wellness thing too. People do not want to risk coming onto the market with stuff that people do not understand. And so like, they just do not do it. Gummies and chocolate, that's what's easy, especially gummies. That's the reason there's so little chocolate on the market too in Illinois, is like, it's just harder to do the production.
It doesn't taste good. Like, a lot of that stuff does, like, you remember the old medical stuff, like the old mint bar. I won't name names or anything, but like the old mint bars and the stuff with the like crunchy stuff. None of it tasted good.
No, we used to, and my wife and I got to Colorado. The first thing we got, and like, it was probably 12, 13, was an infused granola bar. And it was the most ass tasting thing I have ever had in my entire life. It's like 13 years later, we still talk about the butt bar, and just the worst tasting, but man, it destroyed you. And that's the thing, is like, you can usually tell from the flavor of the infusion how the effects are going to play out.
I mean, the stuff I got on the lot in 95 didn't taste much better either. So, I mean, whatever, I guess. Like, the big ball of like peanut butter, honey, whatever thing that I ate, like that it wasn't the greatest, but like it also got me high. So I guess I shouldn't complain. And probably some of the chocolate does taste great nowadays. I think the stuff that's closer to the hash rosin, more like the candy stuff, is actually pretty tasty. And I'm glad that we're doing that in Illinois now, at least. Shout out to like Illinois Collective, Yeah. They're making some pretty tasty stuff.
Yeah. As we continue to go forward, there's definitely, more and more things to taste and try. And I think, just to your point, and it's a point that was made to me in the past, and it kind of, I was like, it all like clicked. I believe it was Adam Terry from Cantrip. He told me, I believe it was him. he's like, I don't know if you remember it, but like weed drinks used to kind of like suck. And I was like,
Mhm.
yeah. And if I'm misattributing this quote, but I'm pretty sure he was saying it wasn't until like the Farm Bill happened and we had scale, like enough scale for somebody to truly like get involved. And then of course, actual beverage people got involved, and drinks just got like really good, really quick. And in fact, now, like I think even drinks in the dispensary are good. But I just remember trying like syrups and stuff back. It was always just like really syrupy, or it'd make my stomach hurt. And it was just interesting to learn that. So I guess what I'm saying is not to make it about hemp or anything else like that. I'm trying to talk about scale and how products could get better at scale, and we're just not at scale, as we've kind of
Yeah, there's a certain level of access you need to flavor scientists and formulators. And, as cannabis becomes more mainstream, those higher quality producers will start to work with cannabis companies. But a lot of folks, there were a lot of folks, especially in the early days in Illinois, and still now, some of the production facilities I've been in would blow your mind. People are just guessing. They're just whipping shit together. And like, as long as we get that product on the market, so there's a lot of higher level production work that still needs to be done in the Illinois market. You're right.
Yeah. So, well, any other just thoughts on the market? Because again, we're about to shift to the Illinois State Police report, which is not about the market really.
Yeah. Nano Emotions definitely transformed the drinks. Cannabev said that, and Satisfied Mind as well over in my chat said that. Yeah, Nano Emotions transformed the drinks. Technologies will continue to help our industry. I've long said that Minnesota is probably going to be the forefront on nano emulsification, just because of their manufacturing beverage culture that they have in Minnesota. I think they're gonna lead the way.
Yeah, the nano emulsification is super important too, because it changes the way that it affects your body. And so, for a lot of folks, 100, 200 milligrams, the standard edible dose can be a lot, and it lasts a long body process. Nano emulsification really is the thing for me that put it on to be built in liquor stores because of the fast action and the quick kind of exit too.
I think elderly people may find that nano emulsified cannabis drinks for sleep may work better for them than eating a sugary edible and then having to wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning, as a lot of them complain that they do, which is just, it has to do with some sugar and stuff. Shout out Dave. He knows more about that stuff than I do. I just listen to Dave, but stuff like nano emulsification with the faster onset and higher efficacy is really can transform some things for people. So yeah. Like Brandon Krieger said as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
100%.
He says the bioavailability with these nanomulsions are better for some people who don't typically get high on edibles. I didn't know that was that makes sense. I just thought it was because it was hitting me so quick or something.
Oh, it's smaller, man. They get in your particles faster.
Bro, that's tripping me out. They get in my particles. That's crazy. Yeah.
Oh, you're the best, Cole.
Any other somebody said drinks or what will help kill reefer madness, dude? I agree with that point. I literally met a person the week before we got into this conversation. I was asking him, I said, why will you not like just try some form of can? I've got like gum, I'll get you whatever you want. And because he's like 84 years old and he's never tried it. And he said, Cole, it's not like something you can debate me on. It's a moral issue. And then I brought these grape drinks in. And he tried one. I got a picture of him drinking it. And that was crazy. Like he enjoyed it. And like he used it because his knee was bothering him, and he still drinks them occasionally to this day. And I just think that's crazy. That was an 84. I know that's an anecdote, but Lasley, did you have any thoughts on just this topic? That I know I had a personal anecdote on that, but any other thoughts on just like drinks and stuff?
Yeah. I think drinks are probably the way forward. There's a reason that bars exist. There's a reason coffee shops exist. You're a beverage, and be word. And I think it'll be a big calling point, later this year.
And And Lasley?
And liquor stores.
Sorry,
Hey, man,
you're
sorry.
breaking up. No, you're breaking up a little bit. Sorry. I didn't mean
Sorry.
to cut you
No,
off.
yeah, you're fine. I think that the liquor store thing and the gas station thing, I think the drinks are going to be a big calling card later this year when they disappear because of the way that the hemp ban is going to be enforced. I think a lot of regular folks that do not pay attention to the inside baseball stuff and cannabis are going to go, wait, what's going on here? And that's going to help us in the end.
Yeah, very interesting stuff. We're talking about in the comments. If you're listening, people are talking about Dr. Riley Kirk. If you
Yeah,
want to
she's
do
awesome.
research on that person, apparently there's a book that
Reefer
just playing.
Wellness.
Reefer Wellness. Interesting.
I meant
so
to
you
link that
can-
in our private chat, not in the actual comments, but yeah,
No, it's all
it's
good.
all good. Yeah, shout
Um,
out Dr. Riley Kirk. She's awesome. Yes.
People are joking about when you went robot a second ago. You were fine though when you were just talking, Lasley. So I hope you know that. You're fine. when
No,
you
I'm
were
all
just
good.
talking. Okay. Well, I am about to get to the state police report. I think it's time.
Oh, fantastic.
But did any other thoughts though? I'm just being spacious. Are we good
Okay.
to bounce over? Cool. I like how this starts off like it talks about their. So I'll just read it for listeners. The Illinois State Police provides enforcement, investigation, and processing of all cannabis-related criminal offenses. The ISP strives to ensure the safety of the motoring public and community by, and by the way, when I said ISP, I meant Illinois State Police. So they strive to ensure the safety of the motoring public and community by curbing illicit market activities defined as non-tax related sales and possession. They enforce laws related to driving under the influence, and they provide effective inspection and oversight of security related matters in the legal cannabis industry. The agency, through the Cannabis Control Office, which I actually just learned about a few months ago in an
Mhm.
episode that will come out in the future. It's one of those episodes that you got to play the long game on, so you can look forward to that. It's involved in the monthly inspection of all facilities operating under the CRTA and the Compassionate Use of Medical Cannabis Act. So that's what the Cannabis Control Office does, and that's how their summary starts. Aaron, I already know you have thoughts on the priorities. Did you want to address any?
I mean,
let's just take on the first one that's easy, really quick. That I think is going to be easy to just move on from. Right? They inspect and do oversight of security related matters in the legal cannabis industry, and we'll get into it later. But they actually share some data where they talk about in a few different ways, but they talk about fines that they've issued.
Mhm. Yeah.
So that's I feel like a really easy thing to address really
Well,
quick.
they're
any thoughts on that?
positioning themselves as the authority in physical security plan reviews for new and existing facilities. So that's the number one thing that about that.
Yeah.
So now
Yeah.
the Illinois State Police, the state is now the authority in physical security plan reviews for cannabis facilities. So we always have to involve the Illinois State Police in all cannabis facilities.
Right.
That's what sticks out to me about that. Why them? What makes them the authority? What have they done to prove that they are the authority on this matter?
Yeah, no, I agree. Good questions, and I'll definitely
Just
answer
asking.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm gonna answer that, but I wanted to give Lasley space. Did you have any thoughts? I thought, like, in case people didn't know, as Aaron just said, they're involved in the inspection and oversight, and that includes floor plans, where the cameras are, like all these things. But just anything else? Did you have anything else to help people understand, like, the role that ISP plays, sort of in the cannabis industry?
Yeah, the ISP, you have to 100% submit anytime you are opening a new dispensary, a new cultivation center, transport office, even when you are outfitting a transport vehicle. You have to give ISP a list of all of your information, and you have to give them your little security plan and everything. It's literally just state law. ISP loves to have it for investigation purposes later. But yeah, it is just part of the way that the CRTA is written.
Yep.
is that they are the authority. I don't believe that they are, truly have any kind of special knowledge here. But I think the state was just like, we probably don't need to spin up yet another office out of this. And so they handed it to them. Anytime you are in a dispensary, especially anytime you're in a cultivation center, know that ISP can log into those cameras 24/7, take a look, do anything they want. They have access to everything, all the information you feed in when you become an agent. They have access to all of those background checks and everything. So if you are part of this industry, you're tied into ISP in some way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, people ask all the time, like, from what I understand, and Leslie and Aaron, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you can have like things like, just I feel like easy example to bring up, how the state police have access to your data. I'll give two quick ones. First, the state has told me, if the state police suspect that you're growing, and maybe it's like obvious. That's usually how they say it starts. But in other contexts, the point I'm trying to make briefly is that the state can confirm your medical cannabis cardholder status to be like, okay, you're growing, you can grow, no problem. And then another instance is like possession limits. They'll check like, hey, okay, you're a medical cannabis card holder, you have a higher possession limit. And then actually, just a third example that's different, you can have your concealed carry and your FOID, and you can have a firearm, but you will not pass a background check if you lie on the FFL background check and say that you don't use cannabis. They
illegal drugs.
So because we have the FOID and we have two different, background checks.
Yes,
one done by the state police and one done by the federal police. The state police, my understanding is that you can fill it out. And what you said was correct. You can have your FOID and your CCL. In fact, they're the same card now in Illinois. So you can have both of them. You just cannot purchase a firearm in a physical store because you can fill out the form, but the Illinois State Police will not actually initiate the background check. So you just stay right there. And that includes if you are a caregiver in Illinois.
Yes. So if you have any kind of medical card or anything, I worked for Walmart many lifetimes ago and was the sporting goods manager. And so if you fill out the form 4473, which you have to if you purchase any firearm in any kind of licensed firearm dealer in the country, it says, do you knowingly consume any illegal drugs? Cannabis is illegal.
Federally illegal drug.
Purchase a gun. Yep.
Right. Yep.
There are definitely, I don't know, you were breaking up there last time. I'm sorry if I'm interrupting you. There's recently a Supreme Court case. There's been some pretty high profile stuff of people asking to ask the courts to rule on their rights. So.
That's people should Google that. Yeah, there's it's definitely something that's being debated, I think, in a few different cases at the federal level. So
I think the most common common sense thing I've seen that destroys most arguments is that although we don't allow drunk individuals to have to firearm rights, we don't take them away when they're done being drunk. We don't continue to take them away. We just say you can't be drunk when you have your firearm. So I think it just as reasonable to say you should not be under the influence of cannabis and making decisions about whether to handle your firearm or not. I think common sense firearm says that you should probably not be handling it if you're not in a completely straight frame of mind. Not non-altered, I think is the word. I don't like to say high or stoned because that's a different thing, but a non-altered state of mind.
Right. Anyways, the point,
regardless of the substance. Sorry.
The point being, no, I agree. The point being, though, ISP has access to your medical card holder status, and so that's one way that it sort of they have access to this data, and another way that office works. Any other thoughts though, just on the bullet point of like inspection and oversight, like anything that people might be surprised to know, for example? From what I understand, they just show up. In fact, I think I remember one of the fines that was issued back in the day that GrownIn.com reported on was like a door was just like open, like a guy just like walked in. So he, like, if I recall correctly, so he like fined them like, hey, you just like had your door open, which I know to some people it's like, what's the big deal? Let some fresh air in. But like, yeah.
Do they tell the numbers of how many dispensaries they actually tested last year? The ISP did. Is that
ISP did? They do have some numbers. Yeah, what I thought was interesting was that they conducted, I think, roughly 1,000. Hold on a second. Let me just display the number because it's right here. 1,145. And I know this may not be to your question yet. Under 21, and it only resulted in 4 sales to minors. I will say, I bet you the number for alcohol is much higher. So, there is something to be said about that 3-tier approach with the ID check that's mandatory.
Okay, so it looks like we did a bunch of inspections, 75, 68 inspections right to the right of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that was your question. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Security plan reviews, as Lasley and you both discussed. I thought this was interesting. They conducted legislative bill reviews regarding cannabis, psilocybin, and hemp-related legislation. So, I mean, people should know that when you go to Springfield, like there is a lobbyist that represents the Illinois State Police, and so yeah, they're involved in these conversations. And
probably also
very involved. In fact,
people are very close to other people who are for-profit prisons as well, I'm sure.
Perhaps. I would not be surprised with what's going on in Illinois because the continued criminalization of cannabis, which we'll cover some numbers. Like, to your point, they seized 16 million grams.
Isn't that wild? But only 14 plants.
Yeah. And it's funny what they say about the plants later is that typically one plant, they say, could be like, you guys take it away. I'll find the number. But I did find that number interesting. 14 cannabis plants. I did think the number would be higher.
Yeah, you would think that if they're seizing 14 million grams, I assume that just everything has to be, non-dispensary packaged stuff.
Yeah. Oh, they say to the 14 plants that were seized, they say which at harvest. So
if they had been flowering.
Yeah.
I love how that's a metric we use. Like
up to 1 pound.
Yeah. If
per plant.
With shitty lights.
That's what, yeah. Let me say that again really quick. Sorry, because I cut you off, and that's my apologies. They say 14 illicit plants were seized, which at harvest can yield up to 1 pound of cannabis, quote unquote, buds.
I bet it could.
Plant.
I bet it could. You should see what I could do.
ISP's got some shitty growers.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. That's crazy. Yeah, Brandon Krieger, Mendo Dope Boys, just harvested a 75-pound plant this year. Yeah. Yeah, and the police union does have a lot to say, Norm. You're absolutely right.
I think Cannabis Critique is saying it was it was at maybe a certain facility, of a Rano facility. I don't think their own. I don't know the ownership anymore. But yeah, Satisfied Mind is saying 1 pound per plant. No way.
I mean, I guess if it's a autoflower or something with, and you're using like CFLs or like T5 lights, I mean, sure, I'd be happy if I got up to 1 pound.
It's Illinois outdoor, man. It's just, they're growing it rough.
True.
Yep, exactly.
Some ditch plants. That's what they're catching there at that point.
I mean, I'm old enough to actually have smoked ditch weed. Found in like growing wild, and I'd still rather smoke ditch weed than most Illinois weed.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
and Lasley, you're a robot again.
alcohol is in. Oh,
Sorry, I'm so sorry. I just wanted to. You're a robot.
yeah, you're good, man.
I don't know if you can disconnect and reconnect. Maybe the StreamYard can be weird depending on the platform. I feel like yeah.
We got to get a wireless repeater for the shed, bud.
Yeah, something. Sorry. But what was so next on my list that I thought was interesting, and this is on page 60. So let's go down to it while Lasley reconnects. I felt bad for cutting him off, but I know that since we're watching live, this is a good question. Do you think they're weighing plants wet? Absolutely, with the soil.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
what I think. I don't know. I can't say that for certain in all circumstances, but I think so. You know,
Well, I mean,
that's how you-
if you look at the big picture and you pay attention to the moves that everything's been going on, everything points to more enforcement by the state. It's going to be tax cannabis versus untaxed cannabis. If you look at the numbers of enforcement last year, it was a lot of interstate stuff that they happened to catch, and it's all about stuff that is untaxed cannabis. State doesn't get their taxes, it ain't good. You know,
yeah.
wasn't tested here, it ain't good. You can't have it.
Here's some. I don't know. I don't think this is Illinois specific data, but it's in the Illinois report, and it's talking. So the reason I say I don't think I'm not sure if it's Illinois specific is because it starts off by talking about the DEA and the Domestic Cannabis Eradication Suppression Program, which we're going to call DCESP for short. In 2024, DCESP was responsible for the eradication of 3,627,762 illegally cultivated outdoor plants. But I can bet you that wasn't in Illinois. That just doesn't sound like it was. But the next,
That's got to be national, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's just, I don't know. But it does go on to talk about Illinois and Chicago specifically. It says Chicago is a hub and distribution point for drug trafficking in the Midwest due to its multifaceted transportation infrastructure and its central geographic location. High potency domestically grown cannabis from other states is smuggled into Chicago, HIDTA, I don't know what that stands for, region via trucks, personal vehicles, and parcels, and sold in the booming illicit market in Illinois. Chicago-based gangs that dominate the regional retail market also have taken a significant presence. I've been told not to say it like that. That's how British people say it. They've taken a significant presence through the Midwest and across the nation. Illinois law currently requires Illinois cannabis dispensaries to sell cannabis obtained solely from an authorized Illinois cultivation center or craft grower. However, the illicit marketplace remains unregulated. At the street level, it is difficult for local law enforcement officers to determine the actual source of cannabis in the possession of consumers. I will pause for thoughts. I liked that paragraph. It was notable, I thought.
I mean, how can we have a regulated illicit market?
A regulated one or an unregulated
Yeah,
one?
well,
That's
I
what they
mean,
said.
however, the
Unregulated.
illicit cannabis marketplace remains unregulated. How would we regulate the illicit market?
I'm just joking.
But Brandon Krieger, how much is a pound of hemp right now? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about what they did to the prices of hemp and how we've I like literally inflated the prices so that, anyway.
Lasley, any thoughts on how to regulate the unregulated market?
I mean, truly, just open licensing.
You're
Yep.
right. Yeah.
I mean, what I've always said was make it real cheap to get a license, like
Mhm.
$1,000.
Mhm.
Have super strict testing that the state, has somebody to go do double checks. Let the market decide.
Absolutely. Look at New York with their home grower program and their farmers market program, and everything they're doing now. They have some of the most common sense outdoor and indoor grow laws in the whole United States, and it looks like they have a very nice, robust, and equitable market. And they keep beating Illinois and being way more equitable than Illinois. So shame on them.
No, I agree. It's
Like
I
that
will
allows
say-
everybody to participate. That allows the people who want to participate.
there are a lot of folks doing it a lot better. There's still nobody doing it right.
Yeah, I agree.
There's still so much that we could improve in every single market. But yeah, Illinois, the thing is, we often forget, but Illinois was designed this way on purpose. They
That's
do
right.
not want people using outside of their homes.
That's
They
right.
do not want a bunch of runaway successful businesses.
Mhm.
The state came out and said, we do not want people to do this. And so we'll give you a little bit, but we will not give you the whole thing. And that's the reason things are so strict here. The politicians want it this way.
I always say we do not have legal cannabis in Illinois. We merely have a highly regulated structure to tax it. Period.
It's
That's
not
all.
legal, it's regulated.
It's regulated, highly regulated, in fact.
And that's the thing too, is the difference between Missouri and Illinois is that Missouri has a much more, nice to live in law because people wrote it. You
That's
can
right.
submit an amendment to the Missouri Constitution and the voters can vote on it. It's not possible to do here. And so we just do not get the level of freedom that they get because we do not get to decide. It's all written by politicians.
And the Missouri market is based on the Illinois market. It was literally based on the Illinois market. And it's still better than ours for the reason that Leslie said, because the people wrote it and they didn't allow it to be run by the state. And that was kind of my point.
Did you mean it was like formed at the same time? Like it basically started at the same time?
Yeah, but it was
Okay.
kind of based on how Illinois was doing their market, like in terms of taxes and whatnot.
Okay. Right.
So and it's still a better and more robust market than Illinois with very similar taxes, correct? I think that'd be fair to
Yeah,
say.
so taxes are slightly lower over there.
Sure.
But the biggest thing is they have half our population and twice as many cultivator licenses. I mean, that's really the biggest thing. The biggest thing here, we all talk about taxes and we talk about this and that. The biggest thing will always be we have restricted competition by not allowing enough licenses to
That's
flourish.
right.
Well said.
And
Well said.
I think my point earlier was about just having Illinois be that market and how it could be just so much better if we just opened it up a little and weren't so stringent on what it is and actually be honest about why we wrote our laws the way we wrote our laws and why our market is the way it is. And so instead of just saying, well, fuck GTI because we're using GTI as a scapegoat, like let's say, hey, screw most of these companies and screw the government for writing the laws this way. Let's get mad at everybody so they actually change the laws. Instead of just using some one company as a scapegoat. Yeah, that company sucks. Most of them do. What are you going to do?
Well said. Yeah. Yeah. It's the whole shebang, if you will.
Yeah.
So I thought these numbers were interesting. I know this kind of is a little off topic for what we were just
Cannabis
talking.
trafficking.
Yeah.
So
So,
that's-
these are the
That's got
these
to
are-
be trapping.
right. So what we're seeing here is the impact of cannabis regulation on the highway and waterway.
No,
I
so
didn't
this
even
is
know we had
only
waterway.
only enforcement while driving, correct? This is not going to include any probably enforcement with any special area drug.
So what
drug
we are
agencies,
looking
I'm
at is
assuming.
only Illinois State Police statistics, and
Okay.
they're not representative of all law enforcement agencies statewide. I will say, I believe that's addressed in this other report that was released, and it's the 2025 annual cannabis report by the Adult Use Health Advisory Committee. We won't get to that today, but if people want to dig into it, I believe I wrote down, and I'll reference it here in a moment. Let's see here. Oh, it says, yeah, they have statewide arrest numbers that include local law enforcement numbers, and the other report, which is the Adult Use Cannabis Health Advisory Committee report.
Okay.
So these are just Illinois State Police. And I know I still didn't really answer your question. It sounds like, yeah, this is all to do within vehicles. So I think that answers your question.
I just didn't want people to be like, well, they didn't really enforce illegal growing last year. They didn't really enforce
Thank you. Yeah.
you
right.
know, that was really more my point about that. This looks to be more on highway and waterway safety, which is their big talking point, where they can allocate money for the next however many years, to,
I think it's
continue
notable that
enforcement.
possession and unlawful possession in a vehicle are some of the highest
Mhm.
offenses. I'd be interested, like, if there's like a Venn diagram here, like, how they categorize.
Is it
these.
just possession, or is it possession attached to something else because of a different offense as well? What I'm saying is, like, did we get arrested because I was fighting some guy in the street and I had, like, too many gummies in my pockets? Like, I want to know what the numbers are so I can correlate them in the correct way.
Right. Sorry, I didn't mean to scroll down. I just forgot that.
No, it's okay.
No,
I do
but
that too.
well said. Well, I mean, they're good questions here, because it's like, that's kind of what I was trying to say. Like, I don't understand the numbers. Like, if they have some crossover, I guess was my thing.
I want
So
to know what the medical cannabis charges are. The 7 medical cannabis charges.
yeah, be interesting.
What is a medical cannabis charge?
All right, it's very vague. That's kind of the thing. I'm like, well, this is just like a vague description. It's obviously not telling you about the whole situation. Of course, that's very nuanced, but
Brandon
every
Krieger
situation.
has a good point, and I wanted to touch on that. He said
Yeah.
most of the people I talk to are getting arrested just for cannabis with no other charges. I've known some people who've been arrested for cannabis, booked, and then never heard another thing about it, which is weird. It looks like we have enforcement, but then we don't have the will to, like, actually follow through with the enforcement. So
Yeah, I fell behind on the comments, folks, so I apologize. Loving these numbers, so it's all very interesting. And thank you all for tuning in. So this stuff is I don't know, just stood out to me.
just more enforcement by the state. It's
Right.
very, very obvious. So we need to call it out for what it is, so that we can make it better for all of us. Because I don't think we have the will of the people. Like, who voted that we should be enforcing more DUI laws? Where did we vote for that? Why?
Yeah. I think it was one of the things they pitched, probably, as like the people that were scared about legalization. I have no idea. I don't have a good answer to that question, and maybe it was just a rhetorical one to make a point,
For sure.
Michael, or if you're back, I'll give you space. If not, we'll keep moving. I know we've got a different graph here, but I didn't want to move on in case you had any thoughts to add, because it's sort of a different subject, but it's just a different breakdown. I think maybe a different display of data. It's showing DUI with drugs versus DUI with alcohol over the year of 2025, I guess, including other illicit compounds or combination thereof. And again, here it says, please see the Adult Use Cannabis Advisory Committee's FY25 report for statewide arrest numbers that include local law enforcement. And once again, you can find that at colememo.com. That link will be in the show notes to see these reports in full, because we are not going through everything. So any thoughts on that before I moved on, or gotta be done? Cool. Yeah, we got a few more notes just to cover here. I said it briefly earlier. They're talking about the presence of THC in bodily fluids. They specifically mentioned that Delta-9 carboxy, which, if you want to learn more about all that stuff, I cover it at episode 97. Couldn't really tell you much about it right now because it's been a while, but I learned about it then. So if you want to learn more about this, they're looking to, like, sort of, I guess, make that process better. So Lasley, I saw you came off mute. Did you have any thoughts on anything we covered? Because we also breezed over these two charts, I think, while you were gone. So
No, my biggest wonder is, how do they establish the DUIs with the drugs?
yeah. Oh, are you saying like this chart?
Yeah. So, what is a DUI from cannabis and what is a DUI from methamphetamine and stuff? Like, it's really easy with alcohol because we have a testable, thing and everything else. But yeah, I've heard of people getting DUIs for taking Benadryl. So does that count under drugs? How does all that work? My biggest question.
Yeah, no, and to your point, I've got it highlighted here for people to, and then Cannabis Critique is agreeing here. It says the chart below represents the total number of DUI drugs in fiscal year 25, including other illicit compounds or combination thereof. So, like, what does that mean? Like, I mean, you know what I mean? That makes me feel differently about the data because I thought,
Yeah, it's in the cannabis report, and
Right,
yet is what of this is cannabis?
right.
Correct. We're taking the goalposts, calling them something else, and saying the numbers are better.
Yeah. So then we were going to DUI laws. Speaking of that,
Emerging
speaking of where
methods,
said,
not scientifically, historically accurate, scientifically accurate, and accepted all over the world, but emerging methods to test for presence of THC. So that means they are unproven, correct?
I mean, it is definitely worded that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure. Just a sanity check. Sorry. I just wanted to make sure.
That is pretty funny that you point that out. Just kind of yeah. Like, I didn't even think about that until you really read it out loud like that.
Cool. I just want to know where we're at.
Yeah. Yeah. That's definitely interesting. And I think it goes back to the point Lasley was just saying. Well, I guess you were referencing that graph too, but this goes back to something you asked about earlier. A continued obstacle officers across the state continue to face is obtaining blood draws for driving under the influence or other instances where a blood sample is needed as evidence. Often, area hospitals refuse to draw blood for officers, or officers wait several hours to obtain blood. The statutory 2-hour time frame to obtain an evidentiary body sample causes significant issues when prosecuting drivers for DUI cannabis. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. So now we're training phlebotomists, it looks like here. We have seven ISP troopers who graduated from the Richland
literally.
Community College Forensic Phlebotomy Program and were successfully trained as law enforcement phlebotomists. They get 4 weeks of online training, 3 days of classroom training, 1 week of clinicals, 100 successful blood draws, probably not on real people. Currently, the launch of the ISP phlebotomy pilot program is.
Hold on a second. We just got to acknowledge that it's called the ISP phlebotomy pilot program.
ISP PPP.
Yeah, that's nice. Anyway, sorry, you were about to make a point. I didn't mean to be immature.
I want to know what the Illinois licensing structure for phlebotomist is, and if the 7 ISP phlebotomists are going to be held to the same standard as the rest of the professionally licensed phlebotomist in the state of Illinois. Just want to know.
Yeah, and
I will say that sounds pretty in line with the training that most phlebotomists receive in the state, though.
Sure. So what does that say more about our phlebotomists or the rigorous regulations and testing standards that we have in Illinois?
I mean, like, at the end of the day, phlebotomy is drawing blood.
Sure.
So I mean, like, you're really not going to fuck it up if you're getting my blood out. You're doing the way that it's supposed to.
You could literally kill somebody.
Like yes.
You could literally kill somebody.
yeah.
But if they're receiving the same level of phlebotomy treatment as, a nurse that's going to do a blood draw, or a phlebotomist at a hospital that's going to do a blood draw.
But that's probably a voluntary action, right?
Oh, okay. So I see. But that's the thing. If you're going to go to a hospital and go with them
Sure.
and give blood, you're like, yeah, fine. If you're going to resist, then yeah, this whole we're in a different question then.
And that's
Yeah,
what I do
but-
because I
but-
don't like needles.
But the hospital's not run by the state, right?
No, yeah.
I mean, maybe run by the state, whatever, but like, who's responsible then? So the hospital has things in place to prevent that? Does the state, like, what happens? Does the state
Well, my
want to be
question is too, like,
responsible?
where do they take you? How do they do this? I wonder how this pilot program works. They can't draw blood on the side of the road. I mean,
on the side of the road, are we following collection protocols? Where are we moving it? How does it get transported? How do I know that it is not, changed with somebody else's blood? How do like?
No, I'm with you. I just think there's a lot of interesting questions around this pilot program. Like, do we have an ISP blood testing lab?
Yeah, these are all good questions. I am just like trying to soak this all in. I mean, to your point,
these are the questions the government does not want us asking or to have to answer. They don't. They don't want the three of us sitting at a question and answer thing.
Lasley makes a good point. Like, what could this look like in the future? And like, are there going to be like centralized places? Because if they're saying it's a continued obstacle where they're like, we're relying on these hospitals. Like, are there gonna is there gonna be like a wing or a building that's like, this is where you go to be? Yeah, I don't know what the future of all this stuff looks like.
I just say it sounds really weird to say the local man with the gun came and took me away and drew my blood.
Well, here's an interesting question just to dwell on this for a moment. And then there is a very interesting section about the efficacy of existing DUI laws, which I think is interesting. But they're asking, if I'm paying, we're going to a hospital in my network. And I'm like, it's an interesting point. Yeah, who's paying for that? Are the police paying? And
do not think for a minute that the state will not send you a bill for $4,500 for a roadside blood draw. Give me a break.
Roadside blood draw. I just wonder how this is going to work, because they say with the 2 hours, so you'd have to be within 2 hours from the place.
That's why I'm saying there's got to be there's going to be some setup around,
Yeah, you'd have to have almost like a blood draw office in every troop building.
Right.
I mean, regional offices are not actually far. You could probably
that's what I was saying.
Take somebody within 45 minutes to have some sort of regional office.
But he's saying like you'd have probably like a separate structure or something that you do this in.
You'd build like a building, or you'd set up an office inside each troop. Code. So I mean, like there's an ISP office that's 10 minutes from my house, and so would they put one there?
Yeah.
Yeah,
interesting
questions.
Or maybe they'll put them at the state transportation centers.
And so I wonder also, will you have a choice? Because now it's you either do the testing or you're effectively submitting your license to them, right? You're effectively forfeiting your license if you don't do testing.
I mean, that's the law in most states for DUI testing, right? If you don't,
But that's the thing is, are we going to come to a point where if you do not give the state officer your blood, if I'm willing to go to a hospital and we're within the time limits and everything, is that fine? Or are we going to get to a point where you have to give a police officer your blood?
Yeah, and the Shadow makes a good point. And this is what we're about to move on to. Sort of, they're like talking about, like taking time and all this stuff, but we're talking about, we're talking about the logistics of how they're going to do this. Yes, I understand they're trying to get numbers and they're going to do what they're going to do. We're just talking about logistically, how is this going to look? How is it going to work? So, and speaking of how it works, efficacy of existing driving laws, people are asking about, and somebody just asked, they said the 2 nanogram limit, what does that mean with blood impairment? And so, good question. It's actually addressed right up front here. So I'll read briefly the statute. A person shall not drive or be in actual physical control of any vehicle within the state while the person has, within 2 hours of driving or being in the actual physical control of a vehicle, a tetrahydrocannabinol concentration in the person's whole blood or other bodily substance as defined in paragraph 6 of subsection A. We're not going to go into that. But it's tetrahydrocannabinol concentration, either 5 nanograms or more of delta-9 THC per milliliter of whole blood, or 10 nanograms or more of THC per milliliter of other bodily substances.
One would assume that means urine.
Yeah. And maybe they leave it like vague like that, so maybe it could be saliva in the future.
Saliva
Sure.
testing.
Yeah.
But yeah, this whole section is definitely interesting. It includes research by Marilyn Hustis, who we were discussing earlier. She's on the board of like Smart Approaches to Marijuana, who don't believe marijuana should even be legal. You can watch my conversations with them at colememo.com/Sam if you want to. And actually, I include her testimony in this episode. She talks about the way that the Illinois per se limit, which is what that is referred to, by the way, if you're wondering, that whole 5 nanogram thing while you're driving, that's called a per se limit. And again, we discuss it in episode 97, which you can find in the show notes. But they quote her during this, and they talk about, somebody asked about the bloodstream. Most cannabis has left the bloodstream within 2 hours of ingestion. So like, this is like, I think another reason that they're showing, like we had to test quick, and that's not necessarily what they're saying in this context. I do want to be clear. They're just kind of laying everything out. But they also talk about the surge of hemp-derived cannabinoids, and like, since we're only testing for Delta 9, we're not testing for all the other different byproducts. So somebody could be like high as fuck on something else, is basically what they're saying.
Mhm.
So, I know I just covered a lot of different ground and maybe even missed some. So if you guys see anything that stands out to you so far, definitely I can zoom in, comment below, whatever. Oh, and I forgot, Aaron, you gotta run if you gotta
Yeah, to run here in a couple minutes. Yeah, I just linked something I saw not long ago. There was a new federal government-funded study that shows marijuana users are being unjustly jailed for allegedly driving under the influence.
Gotcha. So that's the headline from Marijuana Moment, if people want to look it up. Lasley, any thoughts? Just I know we're kind of just talking about DUI, driving, enforcement, stuff like that. Any thoughts?
I will say the biggest question around the per se limit for me is, as a medical patient,
Right.
my bloodstream has got to be way over 5. I've got to be way over the limit all the time, even when I'm not consuming, even when I haven't consumed all day, just because of
week.
Right.
Mhm.
And just because of that level of blood. I think that's the biggest problem with me around the per se limit.
And again, Cole, why did we decide 5 nanograms? What did the scientists say?
No, it was one of our lawmakers said we literally made it up.
Okay.
Yeah. We literally made it up. It was just kind of something to start with.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, that's the thing.
So
These
there's no
nuances
scientific thing that says that 5 is where we should be.
Right.
Okay.
Literally.
Just want to make sure.
Literally, because it just and that's kind of, I think, Lasley's
Mhm.
really brilliant point, like that people we're just different. We're all different. I don't need to be hippy-dippy about it, but that's kind of the way to
That's
say it
right.
short.
I think that really does matter in a medical context. I think recreationally, you could always make the argument that, like, what does 0.08 matter with alcohol? I mean, I know some folks that could put back 5 beers and be better than me. I look at a beer and I'm trash. So recreationally, I think you can make the argument that we have to pick somewhere. But medically, that's a much different argument, because that argument's also been made about things like opiates, because there's a level of acceptable opiates for some folks and they're fine to drive.
There's a level of acceptable stimulants for some folks too.
Yeah,
And we allow them to
ADHD
drive.
meds, yeah, bro.
That's correct.
It's that regulated drugs are just a part of our life, and there's a lot of them that we've allowed to be in society just because they don't fall under this. And so, what
Yeah,
are we
but you
going to do for medical people here?
But you don't see ISP's report on pharmaceutical effects on drivers.
Well, that's my
Like,
question though. What is
yeah.
that drugs DUI? Does that
Right.
include pharmaceuticals?
It says other compounds. They
I would
do
assume so.
specifically say other illicit compounds, though. That's what it stands out to me. So I'm like, I don't know. if it-
ADHD meds are illicit. They're a class.
Okay.
I mean, like they're a stimulant. They're
What does that
federally
mean? I can
regulated.
only get on that chart if I'm smoking and then driving with non-dispensary cannabis, because dispensary cannabis is not illicit as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, that's a really good question. That is a really good question with the way that it's worded. So yeah, I do not know these answers. Like I say, it looks like there are more numbers in that other report. Go ahead.
I think they would say it says including other illicit compounds or a combination thereof. I think the or is the important part.
Right. Yeah. Well said. Well said.
All right, boys. I got to get going. It's 7:00. I
Yeah.
appreciate you letting me podcast with you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Monday.
Peace and love, brother. Happy New
Yeah.
Year.
Happy
Take
New
care,
Year.
Aaron.
Monday, January 5th, 3 Dope Dudes. We're going to review 2025. It's going to be super fun.
Yeah. Check it out at colememo.com/2dope. Aaron, see you.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for
We
joining.
love you all. Smoke weed every day. Peace.
Leslie, if you want to hang on with me, I would love it. Satisfied Mind, I know you like to call in. We're just going through the numbers on this report. Happy Friday, Happy New Year, everybody. I'm just going through things that stand out to me. And yeah, you brought up a really brilliant point with this graph. I mean, I just still like wrapping my head around it, what it actually means. And I just want more data now, give me the data.
Yeah, I think the biggest problems with all these is they give you more questions than they do answers.
Right. And it's fun. It's fun to come up with all these questions and wonder. It makes you, and you learn a lot of things about how all these things, I guess, work together. But yeah, this I thought was all interesting. There's definitely a notable section in a moment, but I'm just kind of scrolling through. They talk about drug recognition experts and stuff like that. The division of control.
I'm a drug recognition expert. Yep, they are drugs.
Yeah, right. Yes. I was like, I feel like that's a job that I'm made for. Yep, those are drugs. I'm gonna take those. And I mean ingest them. So there's some expenditures and stuff. This is interesting because I don't know if any other part of the report necessarily says this. I could be wrong. It's a very long report. But I like that their updates and initiatives section is just that nothing was passed during 2025.
Yeah.
Short and sweet.
I'm hoping this year we will see some action.
Yeah, I hope so too. I am hopeful.
I think with the hemp ban, we will.
One thing I skipped over, check this out. This is notable. In the Division of Patrol, they say retaining the authority to consider the odor of cannabis and evidence of unlawfully transported cannabis inside a vehicle as probable cause is critical. These tools allow officers to assess impairment in criminal activity, similar to enforcement for illegally transported alcohol, ensuring the safety of all Illinois roadway users.
Translation, you're taking away our search tools.
Correct.
Yeah.
So definitely notable there. This one is also interesting. I just, the note I took on this is, well, maybe I won't read the note I took on this. I'll read the note I took on it because I can't not like it out. It's because it's not like it's bad, but I just basically wrote page 68, crying about not being able to lock people up. So basically in this section, they're like law enforcement and health professionals in the state nationwide continue to grapple with the proliferation of and associated legal sales with the synthesized, the sales of synthesized THC products derived from hemp CBD. So we've all heard about it. Delta 8, THCO, other THC variants. In Illinois, we've got, an industrial hemp program. As a result, CBD is accessible, including at corner stores and grocery markets. And basically, they're saying Illinois law enforcement has struggled in convincing state attorneys to move forward with the prosecution of the product's initial association with hemp and CBD. Since it is legal, it leads the state's attorneys to be reluctant to prosecute. And so the ISP recommends legislation be enacted that would regulate CBD and hemp and bring them in line with the CRTA. And then they also talk about like THCA and the purveyors of THCA and their struggles with being able to enforce it. Yeah. I want to keep it at a like surface level with this. The reason I wrote crying about being able to lock people up is because that's like basically the only thing I liked about hemp. I understand the people's concerns that they have about synthesized THC or whatever, what have you. I think that, yeah, like I'm not saying criminalization is the answer, but I do think that things like that should be like slower paced, if you will. But what I liked about hemp, and the main thing I really liked about hemp, quote unquote, was just that exactly what they're talking about. They struggled to prosecute people for
Yeah.
the sale of cannabis. And I'm like,
There is
Hey.
no question that hemp has allowed us to do some really cool stuff over the last couple of years, especially around events in the state.
right.
And so
To your point,
it sucks to see it go, but
I wanted to just give you a point, and I bet you have a better story because I only did this once at the premiere of my mini doc, which I'm going to be that guy, and it's colememo.com/mini doc, folks. You can check it out. At the premiere of it, what was cool is I got hemp drinks, like a bunch of them in the cooler. We could just give them out to everybody, and we didn't have to worry about the whole like. Obviously, you had to be 21 where we were because we were in like a craft brewery and stuff, and so that's a thing that we didn't have to worry about. But everywhere, everybody in there, like I could just hand out as many cannabis drinks as they wanted. You know what I mean? And it was just nothing we really had to worry about. And it was, like I say, it was a small thing that with events, it was cool. I'm curious if you had other like cool things with regard to the flexibility before we just move on to the last section, which is the IDPH numbers.
yeah, so I mean, like, we're just going to have to really push for some kind of regulation around it, sadly,
Right.
because theoretically, all of the open consumption events we do in the state are operating under the hemp loophole. And so there's probably just a lot of these really cool things that we do, even stuff that we do like the craft showcase. That one's probably different because of Molly's joint and all that, but who knows? With open consumption, if you truly read the CRTA and stuff, you're not supposed to be consuming outside. And so a lot of these events are going to suffer because of that. There was a lot of cool stuff that we got to do because of the hemp law that just will go away now.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. And I hope that there is a way that it can continue somehow. But like you say, that's, that last section there speaks for itself. That was the Illinois State Police report. Did you have any other thoughts on just the state police report? I know we kind of, again, folks, you can read this full report yourself. But yeah, any other kind of thoughts on that one? Because it was definitely interesting and a lot to it.
No, the owners of drug deal. If you,
You're going robot again, Lasley. I'm sorry. Satisfied Mind says, I hope we get some new legislation specifically for events. What a powerful way to promote the industry. Yeah, I know the Illinois Cannabis Consumption Association had some legislation we discussed in the past. You can go to colememo.com to read or listen. I think maybe even read about it too. But definitely listen to them. They came on the show and talked about a proposal that they had. I don't know if they're putting that out there again or, what the future looks like with regard to that. I don't know, Lasley, if you're still with me, if you've heard anything.
The brands will start to push back. I haven't heard anything yet.
Okay.
But I think the brands will start to push back if the state cuts down on events because they have a lot of infrastructure and staffing that is specifically for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said. So yeah, we're moving on to the Illinois Department of Public Health report, which I thought there were some interesting numbers in here. And they're pretty, I think you're going to find them interesting too. And I'm sure you're going to have maybe even see things that I didn't see. So I found on page 74 that they said the number of active patients in MCPP, which is the Medical Cannabis Pilot Program, I guess, which I didn't think we called it that anymore, so I might be wrong. But anyways, we're talking about the medical cannabis program. The number was 121,680, including 187 minors. So I also found it notable that of that, the highest percentage of active patients in fiscal year 25 were individuals between 41 and 50 years of age. Can make that bigger so that we can see that. Any thoughts on some of these numbers? I thought this is cool data.
No, I just think this is a reflection of a healthy, surprisingly healthy medical program. If you compare our numbers to a lot of, other states, we're actually doing decently.
Yeah. Okay. Leslie, I see you got to run. That's cool. I appreciate you joining me. And if you want to plug anything before you go, yeah, feel free. IllinoisNewsJoint.com. I'll start with that.
Read Illinois News Joint. That's all I got to say. Have a great year, everybody. I'm sure I'll hop on some more Cole memos soon. Yeah, have a great night, man. Great conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for joining. And folks, we are about to wrap up. I've just got a few more numbers that I found notable. If you want to, though, you can call in at colememo.com/live. Super easy. As you saw, Leslie didn't even have his camera on. We have just a little bit under 30 people tuning in. So thank you for tuning in. Satisfied Mind just joined. How's it going, man?
Not too bad. How are you? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can
Cool.
hear you fine. How you doing?
Not bad. Just getting
hear
ready to go eat some dinner, actually. But
Nice.
I saw Leslie was dipping out, so I figured I'd pop on and if you had anything more to finish up with.
Yeah. I appreciate you jumping on, dude.
Yeah. I'm kind of curious to know how our medical market matches up compared to other states.
Right.
I know we had just kind of touched on that just a second ago, but like looking at the demographics of, what our market consists of, being able to see, I know Leslie had said that we're doing pretty decent compared to other states, and I don't know who he was referring to, what numbers and stuff, but yeah, it's kind of cool to just see the information, knowing, you see the sales numbers, we can get that information a lot easier than this. So it's kind of cool to see this number then tied into those sales numbers to know out of how many patients, what's the price per patient, like how much people are spending on average and that kind of stuff. So
absolutely, dude. I did not
cool
even think of it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can take this information and combine it with, that's a very
get some
interesting.
correlating, just to kind of see how strong of a market, how often people are spending, or I don't know what kind of information. You just have to see what data that they gave, in that other report. So,
and then to your point, there's other data like this that you can even factor into that somehow, I'm sure, where it shows the nature of the debilitating medical conditions of these qualifying patients. So like chronic pain has 32% of all active patients. That's 54,381. One thing that's unclear to me. Oh, yeah, I was going to say, I was going to ask this. I still don't know what they mean by this, but I know that you can get multiple you can get your card for multiple qualifying conditions, I guess is my point.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that plays into this. So maybe consider that when you
what the overlap would be.
Right. Yeah. I don't know if there is, but just, pointing that out. But yeah, it's interesting to see all this breakdown. And like you say, I'm sure that this could also be correlated somehow. There's another just visualization of that data. And you can see again that 32% for chronic pain, all the way down to 2% for rheumatoid arthritis. Then of course you can compare that against the count, like you say. And
I wonder what the rate of, for some of the medical conditions, how that correlates to just overall general public, that 3.57% for neuropathy. Does that percentage still correlate to just general people, not including the cannabis? So it's how big of a problem is that in regular? Get what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because I feel like that's one of the really great points that I believe it was the people from Chicago Normal pushed for. They basically, when they were pushing for new debilitating conditions, when somebody kind of, I recall in a certain situation there was like discussion as to why, and it's like they made a really solid point as to like it's important to collect the data and be specific about it, because if everybody just like says chronic pain, it's like, well, what does chronic pain mean? Like your back, your knees, like what? You know, what's going on? Like, and I don't
Big
mean to like,
umbrella.
you know, I'm not saying we have to get specific, but like if we do get more specific, like PTSD or migraines, or you know, there's their point I thought was really good, that like, well, then you have more data to draw, and then like you said, like you just said, compare that to the actual population and see if those like are in line. Didn't even think about that. So, yeah, there's some other numbers in here, you know, medical dispensaries per county. So this obviously is a number that people still get frustrated with, you know, due to sort of how this number compares to the IDFPR report, for example, and the number of adult use dispensaries there are. It's what people get pretty frustrated with. You know,
I'm frustrated with it. I mean, I'm one of those people.
yeah,
I think it's absolutely silly that the market was built, you know, from the medical program, and they just let the recreational run wild when you could still, there's no difference between a recreational dispensary and a medical dispensary. They're selling the same products. It, like, I don't know, understand like what the difference would be other than just a title that the state registration license fees, you know, like
that's pretty much, yeah. I mean, that's, I think it, because to your point, just to really like illustrate your point briefly, is if I went to a dual use location. In other words, they have both medical and adult use. And I know the people that run the company. And so I just kind of asked, like, if anything that's on your menu, like I can buy that at medical tax rate. And they're like, yeah, there should be nothing, you know, like, and if it is, we can switch it over. Like and so that's to your point. There is no difference. Like they're literally saying if there's something on an adult use menu and you see it and you want it at because at our medical location, we can switch it over if it for some reason isn't. They said it should be already available though.
yeah, that's
Yeah. So that kind of to your point. It's not like there's like, and I think you knew this as well, but just for listeners, there's literally not like a separate supply chain, like
yeah.
so to say. So yeah,
You could probably go and buy the same product on from a medical dispensary and from a recreational dispensary and find the same like batch. Like I wouldn't be surprised by queuing up COAs. You know, you'd have to look at the COAs, not necessarily like numbers on packaging.
right. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a good point, and I'd be interested to see that as well. Unfortunately, I think it'll be interesting to see, and we covered it earlier. There is supposed to be a consumer portal where I guess you can see like available products. I don't know if it's going to get into batches and testing, but you should, I guess, also be able to scan QR codes soon-ish.
I was gonna say, I think that Metric was trying to integrate that to where you could get like a database of all of the products that are available at that time through Metric and be able to pull COAs and stuff from those products.
Right.
Which would be awesome. But
exactly. No, and I mean that, like I said, I'm pretty sure if people check it out, I'll have it in the show notes. I wrote about the state's updates, and they said that they plan to launch something like a consumer portal. And they said, if I recall correctly, I'm going off the top of my head right now. I'm going off the top of my head. Like that some other state, like Massachusetts or something, had set it up. So, but when I looked it up, like I said, I couldn't find. I wanted to see I keep almost calling it a patient portal. I wanted to see the consumer portal. Like, can I just like look up the products that are available? Like, but I was having trouble finding it. I thought this number was interesting. The allotment waivers for the years and the numbers at 644. So it's actually sitting higher than fiscal year 24. In case people didn't know, as like, I always say out of the box, if you get your medical card, you can have 2.5 ounces. And what I mean by that is like, that's just kind of like the standard. But if you have a conversation with your physician and say like, look, 2.5 ounces, like I need a higher allotment than 2.5 ounces. I need like, I've seen people get 5 ounces, 10 ounces, and even more than that. You'd be surprised.
Because that's every
And,
2 weeks.
Right. Every 2 weeks. And the easy way to have this conversation with your physician is just to be like, look, if you consume like RSO or concentrate or vape pens, like those have higher, they take more off of your allotment. It's not a 1-to-1 ratio. So if you buy a gram of concentrate, it's like 3.6 or something like that off of your allotment. It's not 1-to-1. And so people run out a lot quicker if they consume a lot of concentrated products like that.
Yeah.
So that's why people like to get a waiver for their allotment. And it looks like the numbers are still, they could be higher. I think these are rookie numbers, people. Pump them up. Pump them up. Come on, get your allotment waiver.
Yeah, and I some of that I assume people just
Don't know.
don't feel like they need more.
Oh, fair.
You know,
Fair.
that if they get a pack of gummies and it's a 100 milligram pack, they're not, you know, maybe going through as much as compared to buying like a RSO syringe or something like that, where you're getting more of your allotment taken off, but you're
Mhm.
still consuming like the same amount basically.
Yeah.
But I feel like the waivers are probably more of the patients who would be buying more, consuming more. So whether a higher pain level or all day kind of consumption, you know, that some of those conditions maybe would be some of the people that would need the higher amounts. I don't know.
Yeah. No, for sure. That's kind of like, really, if you're asking me, that's who I think need the higher amounts, because typically, yeah, the sicker patients, need
Is it
those
just
higher.
old people that are just bored all day long, retired people that just want to be chilling?
Yeah. Yeah. Nah, but yeah, I just thought that was notable because we could get those numbers higher, people. Come on.
Yeah.
Fiscal year 23, we had 865. So let's do what we did in 2023. Anyways, you could find all these reports on colememo.com, and I encourage you to check them out because there's so much more to it. And as Satisfied Mind pointed out, you can take the data and look at it in different contexts. If you compare it to other, just use the data in combination with other data, and you got to make sure it makes sense and stuff like that. But you get what I'm saying. Take the data and run with it. It's fun. So like Lasley said earlier, I think it's like sometimes when you look at this data, you're just left with more questions. But yeah, it's because you like got a little bit of an insight, and then it sparks your imagination. And so yeah, definitely check out the show notes. I'll put that link in. If you're watching live, the link may not be there just yet, but or the links may not be there just yet, but I add them after the fact. So check that out. I appreciate you for calling in, Satisfied Mind, and Happy New Year, by the way.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you. Glad you're still doing this. Haven't
Thank
changed
you.
your mind
Yeah.
yet?
Oh, no, absolutely not. No, we're going to keep running. It's fun. Hell no. I just redid the studio. I got all this stuff where I put all the stuff at,
You know what you need to do is you need to build like a little frame. I don't know if this is right on your screen, but on the wall here to make it look like I'm in like a TV or something.
I was literally
A
thinking
part of
about
the
that just the other
background.
day. Yeah, dude.
Be like I'm sitting right here and talking right
Mhm.
next to you. Yeah, it'd be funny.
That is funny. No, and it would make it feel more like immersive, if you will.
Yeah, yeah.
I agree with this comment that Genetic Memory Farm stopped or dropped, I mean to say. He said we have to stop making excuses and saying how we think things should be and actually take some accountability as a community for politically organizing. If we want something, it's on us to organize. If you just heard my cat meow, I think it's because he agrees. And I agree.
Oh.
And yeah, no, we all got to get more active. I think that's a really good call to action for people that are still tuned in,
I think like for me regarding that, I'm curious how this whole hemp bill change rescheduling and how what that's all going to do. That's going
Right.
to kind of dictate what our move is moving forward to kind of see what that does to the industry as a whole nationwide, but then specifically in Illinois. Like will things change in any way? I'm sure it will slightly because of the hemp change
Yeah.
and being able to get CBD and other minor cannabinoids, what that's going to do for some of these big players. So I don't know. I'm excited.
Yeah, that literally, I was just about to say, I don't know, and I'm excited because I just don't know what the future holds, but I'm excited. It's always fun to like look at a report like this or, watch how it
It's
develops and then yeah.
it's super scary,
Oh, for
not
sure.
knowing like for me, it's my job. So it's
Right.
like it's kind of scary to think like, oh, things could change. Well, what does that mean for me specifically? Like hopefully nothing, but at the same time, it could. So I'm trying to pay attention just for that sake. But on top of it, this is a brand new industry. Like it's not going anywhere. Cat's out of the bag, meow. And I'm here, I'm riding the wave. Wherever that wave goes, however long it goes, I'm going to be riding that wave on my surfboard along with some friends, and we're just going to hang 10,
Oh
So
yeah, dude. Hell fucking yeah. That's
I've never been surfing, but it
me
just
either.
feels
I don't think
appropriate.
actually take that back. I tried it this summer at none other than Knights Action Park, which is in
Nice.
Springfield, Illinois, or near Springfield, Illinois. And I am not good at it. That's what I learned. It was on like one of those little like surf board machines, if you will. It wasn't like actual surfing. I'm sure if I did it in the ocean, I'd
It's
be
like the
much
water
better.
jet kind of thing.
Yeah.
that you ride.
Yeah. I'm sure if I did it in the ocean, I'd be so much better. And I'm
Yeah.
totally joking when I say that. But yeah, no, it was fun to chat with you. It was fun to go through this data with you, Lasley, and Aaron. Thank you for tuning in, by the way. I know he's supporting the show. I appreciate
course.
you and everybody else that's tuned in. And I don't know. Yeah,
Thank
enjoy
you.
your food. I'm not sure what you're getting, but I'm about to go get food too, and I'm excited because we've been blazing. So
Yeah.
you know how that is.
We got, I don't know, corn dog and some other little treats. I don't know.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Partner's making it. So
That sounds tasty. Well, you enjoy.
thank you,
And
sir.
again, thank you for calling in and always supporting, and keep in touch, please.
Yep.
So,
Talk soon.
see ya. All right, folks. Well, keep dropping those comments. I'm just about to wrap up. I'm going to get back to your comment right after this break. All right, I'm back. In case you wondered, behind the scenes stuff. We've gotten into a few behind the scenes stuff in this impromptu episode. That helps it. That if I could speak, that helps me make segments for the show afterwards. So I'm gonna chop that into a segment. Since we talked about the state annual cannabis report. So keep dropping those comments. Genetic Memory Farms asks, if the state doesn't notify consumers of recalls, I would not expect them to act in consumers' best interests or on other areas of concern. If they won't require labeling for remediation, where's the trust? That's a good fucking question. Great question, as always. Genetic Memory Farms, I hope you're well. I think I offered to you, yeah, if you ever want to do a segment or even like an write-in, I should accept write-ins. I accept call-ins. I should set up the email and start accepting write-ins and do a read segment. Some of my favorite podcasts that I listen to do like a read segment where people send in emails. So just in case you're interested, any of listeners, anybody, because I appreciate your feedback and it helps me to like think about how I should consider cannabis policy. So anyway, appreciate you all tuning in. We went through a lot. Once again, check out the show notes after the fact. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Check out supportdopepeople.com. Go to illinoisnewsjoint.com. And I should say support Aaron at supportdopepeople.com and support people like Lasley and Jason and others that work with illinoisnewsjoint.com. And also, if you tune in this Monday, I'll be live at colememo.com/2dope. That's the number 2dope. And we will be live doing our 3 Dope Dudes show. It'll be me, Aaron, who was just on the show a little bit ago, and Dave all together. And we're going to be recapping the year of 2025 and the stories that stood out to us. So I'm really excited for that, and I hope to see you all there. The link is on my YouTube channel. You can go to colememo.com/YouTube to get to my YouTube channel, or, there's many ways, but just throwing it all out there. I appreciate you all for tuning in. I hope you're off to a good start on this new year. And it's fucking Friday, so there's that. Yeah, great show here. So I'm going to basically wrap. I really appreciate you all for tuning into the show, and I guess see you in the next episode of
The Cole Memo.
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 The Cole Memorandums. The Cole Memorandum.
The Cole Memo.
This drug is dangerous. You cannot play with it. It's not funny. It's not something to laugh about. Good people don't smoke marijuana.